Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FGM eCast as we get stuck into ANZCAR Cup Series here. Sorry for the late start and the long intro. Just had a couple of server issues there, but we are up and running here at Pocono for the ANZCAR Cup Series on FGM eCast. And tonight, joined again by Carl with you. Carl, Night 2, version 2.0 of Pocono for ANZCAR.
Yes, good evening, Stuart. Yes, we are here at Pocono and we have a double header tonight, something a little bit different for the Cup Series. So we have two races tonight rather than just the normal one. We're going to be running two 40-lap races tonight, so a couple of pretty much sprint races here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at the time difference between this and last night, not a great deal, to be brutally honest. Only about a second between them at the moment. So we'll just quickly duck in and check the weather here and see track temperature about the same as last night as well. We saw some good long green flag periods last night at the start of this race. Got out to the first pit stop effectively when the caution period or the first caution period came out. So will we see that again tonight with these drivers? A lot of the drivers did run in last night's race as well to get that experience, shall we say, or that testing in. So expecting a good clean start to the run again tonight.
Yeah, it should be a good race tonight, hopefully. A good couple of races, I should say, because we have got the two races tonight. So that's going to be a fun one to have, something a bit different for these drivers to get used to. So it's not the long game that we're used to here. It's going to be more about that short run pace and, well, getting a good run through it, because you're not going to be getting the sort of having to work out pit stops and things like that. You're literally just going to be running to your pace and trying to keep in the lead and keep this one going. So a lot of familiar faces in here tonight that we've seen a few times. One to watch out for tonight is going to be Jake Maloney. We saw him last night out at Pocono. We know it's one of his favourite tracks and we know he's quick. So keep an eye on the 29 tonight of Jake Maloney. So a few interesting things to keep an eye out here for tonight. Unfortunately, championship results still not updated as we are waiting on the National Super Speedway to come up on Dan Lisa. So that should hopefully be all fixed by next week and we will have the full results ready for you then.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward to catching up with everyone next week for all of that information. But tonight, as you say, have we got any limitations on tyre sets or anything like that tonight, given that we have got two sprint races?
These tyre sets are actually limited to 3 sets tonight. So you're going to get the starting set and then you're only going to get 2 chances to change them during the race. So 1 less than normal. And that will be the same for both races, of course. So these guys, if there's a caution on, say, lap 12, you might want to stick out there, stay on the tyres. You may see a few people gambling coming in to swap the tyres as well. Of course, if you come in a bit too early, then there's a couple of cautions a little bit later on in the race that could really, really hurt you in the tyre wear department. We did see last night that fresher tyres, they can really help you out quite a lot here in this track because, well, the corners here are actual corners. You know, you do need to brake a little bit, you do need to ease off a little bit, and you do need some good tyres to get through them with some pace.
Indeed, indeed. So we're just waiting here to finish out this warm-up session and then we'll get into bringing you the results of qualifying, which should take place just before we got into the server here. So we'll bring those that starting grid to you once we get into it in a few minutes' time. Pretty much all the drivers taking the opportunity to jump out on track for a little bit of practice.
Yeah, that little bit of extra practice, just see how the track is holding up, of course, because, you know, it can drop a couple of degrees sometimes as you switch sessions as well. The grip levels will change a little bit too, because there won't be as much rubber on the track as there might have been in the qualifying session, or there might be a little bit more now, depending on how the server was set up. So drivers will usually pop out there just to see exactly what's happening, get their eye on the ball, just so that they know exactly what's going to happen on the start of this race.
Yeah, we saw some good restarts last night as well, so I'm pumped up for this one. Looking forward to seeing how we get through. And some 4 wide action as well. So it was a really, really good race last night. Expecting to see similar stuff as well this evening. So do stick around. Again, apologies for the long introduction tonight to our stream. We sort of jumped the gun and then had the server issues after that. So better to leave it lie than to cut it. So if you did stick around, thanks very much. And if you are joining as well, welcome to FGM eCast presenting the ANZCAR Cup Series. So, as Carl said, unusual one for us tonight. We're going to have two races, two 40-lap races. There is a no reverse grid where you finish the first race is where you'll start the second one. So that is a slight different twist as well. Normally, when we have these split formats, there is a reverse top 10, but not in ANZCAR, and of course not a normal thing for them to do. So run to their own drum. Let's get the grid up on screen now for you so we can get a look at what happened out of qualifying. And out of qualifying, it was Philip Worley, I should say, my apologies, who took out pole position with Jason Martin next to him. No surprises there. Andrew Dyson, Josh Mickelmore off row 2. We've got Neil and Jaeger off row 3 with Foster and Gallagher off 4. We've got Danny G and Nigel Patton off 5 with Lachlan Urquio and Neil Pearson off row 6. As we flip over the page, it is Hardigan and Maloney off 7 with Trahair and Dortnack off 8. We've got Griffiths and Schultz off 9 with Otto and Phelps off 10. James Robbie, Steve Williams off 11 with Dave Douglas and Matty Ray, Mr. Sheen off row 12. And then as we flip over to the last few, it is Matty Hunter, Justin Witcher, followed by JCW, Pariana Stakis and Paul Jackson. Little low down there for JCW. He'll be disappointed with that effort tonight, I imagine, and very easy to do here. Touch a wall and the lap does not count. We saw last night, treacherous turn 3, shall we call it, giving the drivers plenty of opportunity to test the durability of the panels on their cars. Plenty taking that opportunity too, so potentially getting caught out there. Of course, it is one of the DPR boys up front, but it is a Philip Worley up the front tonight in the 233. So a good result for him to take out pole position here. And what a surprise. It is a Mitch Motorsport DPR lockout of the front 2 rows. So Worley, Martin, and then Mickelmore and Dyson locking out those front 2 rows of the grid.
Yeah, we're going to have to be careful tonight as well, as Raymond Jaeger has got a new paint scheme and he's channeling his inner Hamish Gallagher there with his love of a certain musician. So just got to be careful calling that car because it might catch us out tonight. So keep an eye on that one, see how many times we mess up that call. But again, a strong performance from DPR, strong performance from Mitch Motorsport, but Philip Worley taking out pole this time round. He's going to want to try and get a strong result after last time. He had that good single stop strategy working out for him, but just made that mistake in pit lane, cost him a lot of time and cost him the chance of that race. So will he have a better chance this time? Got 2 chances this week, as we do have rounds 18 and 19. So you've got double your chances this week for getting that W next to your name. Will Worley be able to do it? Or will we see somebody coming from the back of the grid? We saw last night how Jake Maloney managed to get from the back of the grid to the first place position. Will we see anybody else taking that chance doing it again tonight as we are live for the ANZCAR Cup here on FGM eCast? Philip Worley is going to lead away as we go green here at Pocono. Worley gets a little bit of a slower start. Jason Martin, quite a good start on the outside. You can see Worley getting pushed by his teammate there, bump drafting on that bottom line between Worley and Dyson. Trying to help him out, trying to get him in front for this first corner. Martin's going to have that slightly higher line. He should get a little bit of better drive off here if he can get the foot down properly. But Worley will just about keep the lead for a second, and Martin does indeed get that better drive off. Martin takes the lead for the moment. Josh Mickelmore right behind him. The Mitch Motorsport car's getting some good run, and they're bringing along Barry Neal as well as Hamish Gallagher. Coming into turn number 2, the very, very tricky corner over the tunnel there. Very, very easy to lose a car. Jason Martin has built quite a lead up the front at the moment, but there is shuffling in the pack going around at the moment as we're going to come across for the first lap here at Pocono.
Absolutely, Andrew Dyson just dropping back a little bit there as well, so the DPR guys just not quite getting the start they would have hoped for there, dropping a few positions, and they're now running in 4th and 5th position. Of course, nothing lost there at all. They've got Hamish Gallagher right behind them and Raymond Jaeger as well, so it looks like they've switched cars tonight with that livery of Taylor Swift there. Edward Foster just getting hung out a little bit there on the outside. He's going to drop a position or 2, just slots back in there behind Neil Pearson. And Danny G down underneath him. As we have a look back in the pack here, you can see we've got a cluster now 5 or 6 cars. That is Luke Traher there in his new livery on the 43 entry of his. He's got Ruben Phelps equally in his new livery up near him, and Lachlan Urquio getting involved with this one as well, with Aidan Schultz and the 51 of Jason Hardigan as well. So plenty of action back in the pack. As we saw last night, it's going to be nice close running here. Guys getting a good start with 4 wide, a little bit further back here to just sort of start to slot their way in and find their feet. So we're already on to lap 3 of this first race tonight, as we just had there Luke Traher just diving down on the inside of the track there. Not sure what quite happened there, but he ended up right down on the infield. I think maybe he might have thought he had a connectivity issue, because it doesn't look like any damage to that car whatsoever, or potentially a temporary equipment failure. He's now back up and running again in the 43.
He had a little bit of a touch-up from Lachlan Urquio. Lockie just getting into the back of Luke Traher there, and just cost him in, just tapping him in the back there, and that's what caused that car to get unsettled and spear down the track. Lucky not to lose it there. That if that was a little bit earlier in the straight, then there would have been a wall in the way of Traher's path, and that could have been an enormous crash down the front straight here. The 2 concrete barriers here are quite close together, and if you get ping-ponged off them, all of a sudden you're going to go flying into the path of another car.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw a little bit of that last night, so not as much management needed to be done here for the Mitch Motorsport boys. They're going to try and cut and run. Jason Martin doing a good job of taking Josh Micklemore with him at the moment, working together. Barry Neal doing very well in the 22 entry. He's just cutting his own line at the moment, just catching back up on the lead pack along with the DPR guys as well. So it's going to be a seesaw battle at the front, but Martin opening up a good gap now.
Yeah, Martin has got a relatively good gap. It has closed a little bit though. Micklemore is closing a little bit. He had a bit more of a gap beforehand, but the cars are going to start settling down. The pace is going to start easing off a little bit, and the drivers are going to be driving a little bit with less gusto. But saying that, we've got 3 wide down the front straight. Mirko Daltonak, Ruben Phelps and Lachlan Urquio there going 3 wide. Mirko managing to keep out in front with that one. Lockie and Phelps there side by side for the moment. Ruben Phelps going around the high line. He's going to get better drive off the corner here. We'll be able to just creep ahead of Lachlan. Lachlan's going to try for that side drop, and you can see Luke Traher there right next to Lockie now. And you've got to watch out for a little bit of payback sometimes if you've given a car a nudge a bit earlier in the race. Rubbing can be racing, and sometimes people don't forget that. Aidan Schultz just making his way past Lachlan Urquio now.
Yeah, very much so. The racing here generally pretty clean. Lockie there just getting a little bit loose on corner entry as well. He had didn't quite catch who it was on his. Oh, there he goes. He hits the wall just as we're talking about it. So he got a little bit loose there. And there was Jason Hardigan behind him at that point in time, and then he's got loose again. Just got up, giving the wall a good clout as well. So that's going to affect the pace of the 42 entry of Lachlan Urquio for this run.
Yeah, that's not going to help him at all. Hopefully he's not done any damage to the suspension of the car. Remember, finishing order in this race is how you start the next one. So you want to have a good race here and actually have a good finish, so you can actually get a good start in race number 2. And this is going to hurt Lockie quite a lot. He's going to drop down quite a few positions. Expect to see him starting to fall in the grasp of Scott Griffiths and Stephen Williams relatively soon as well. So he's going to start falling back. Sorry, Joshua Carroll-Walden even, and Justin Witcher. Justin Witcher and Joshua Carroll-Walden. So yeah, he's falling right to the back of the pack right now, and he's going to start falling down the order pretty quickly. But up the front, we have got the battle starting to heat up. Cars are starting to catch up a little bit to Jason Martin. You got Barry Neal up there. He's managed to slot himself in front of the DPR cars, who are just trying to work their way together. You can see Neil Pearson a little bit further in the background, just behind Raymond Yeager at the moment, and Hamish Gallagher. He's trying to get his way up there to slot in to get together with his teammates and try and get a bit of a DPR train going.
Yeah, absolutely. And, tell you what, Hamish Gallagher would be wanting to jump up into the lead pack here as well and work with his Mitch Motorsport teammates. Jake Maloney at the moment just jogging on the spot. I think he's having a look at the battle up ahead of him here. He'll be managing his tyres a little bit, one would think. There's no point in leading at this point in time necessarily. And he's just quite happy there trundling around at the back of this lead pack. He's certainly keeping pace, maybe saving a little bit up in case this stays green for the full 40 laps.
Yeah, saving a little bit of energy for the latter stages of the race can be a very good idea indeed. Just helps you out as the race goes on and as you get a little bit further into this session, of course. So I think he's just going to be sitting back there, just holding back, waiting for things to start shaking out, waiting for a few people to make mistakes as well, because it is a long race and 40 laps around here, although it's a sort of the half distance out of normal. It's still a lot of laps to go around, and it's still very easy to make a mistake. As we go,
so we've got
in the
one.
back, big crash.
Yeah, in the background there, Luke Trahere just looked like he just got into Aiden Schultz, got into him. We'll go back and obviously have a look at the replay of that one before I say too much. But just caught the top of it there while you were going through that, and it did look like Luke had a little bit of external assistance in rotating the 42 entry. So we'll just jump back and have a look at that quickly.
Yeah, so we'll watch that here. So we just caught the tail end of that one. Aiden just up against the wall, but getting towards the back of Luke's car. So he sort of, I think he may have thought he had a little bit less room next to the wall than he did. And that's caught him out there, and that's caught Luke Trahere out. And the big crash, Jason Hartigan getting caught up in that one as well. Luke rolling the car over and getting into the front of James Robbie in the 41. James, thankfully, rolling him back onto his wheels. That sort of helped him out a little bit, but that is the end of Luke Trahere's race one at least.
So I've just gone back a little bit earlier here, so you can just see there. Yeah, in fact, just probably not too sure where the fault lies with that one. As you said, Hardigan there just not quite able to get out of it either, so he's given a love tap to Trahere there as well. And Trahere, he goes down onto the infield and gives that wall a real good knock, and that sends him onto his lid. As you mentioned, there's the underside of a Cup car if you haven't seen one before, and then of course the 41, nowhere to go, James Robbie just gives the 43 a little bit of a helping hand to get back onto four wheels. And that is this race over for Luke Trahere. He has pulled the pin, as has Aiden Schultz.
Yeah, so big impact there between those two, unfortunately. And that's going to hurt them, but they do have another race to come back in. But this is going to be interesting time. Who's going to come into pit lane? Is anybody going to come into pit lane for this one? Or are they going to stick it out there?
Probably a little early, but a good play for those behind to run up to the front. If it were me, I'd probably stick out for a bit if I was down the back of the pack.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a couple of people maybe stick it out and see how it goes. We're seeing the leaders coming into pit lane. I think everybody's actually going to take the opportunity. So that shows how much we know. But everybody coming in, getting a fresh set of boots on and just getting the car filled up that little bit more, just in case they were a tiny bit shy on the fuel loads towards the end of the race.
Now, we did see some mixed strategies last night as well. We saw some drivers just had...
As Dyson has made a mistake coming into pit lane. He overshot his pit box by a fair amount. As you were just about to say, Stuart, people making mistakes in pit lane. Dyson did exactly that.
I was about to say, last night we saw people making mistakes into pit lane. Dave Douglas was one of those. We'll grab him. He's going to jump up into the box with us at half-time and have a quick chat. Might ask you a few questions about that after last night's thing, but we were saying that it's very easy in these situations where every single car files in for you to just misjudge your pit box a little bit. You've got everyone trying to get into the lane at the same time, and it can happen very easily. Andrew Dyson, fantastic driver, very experienced, and it can even happen to Dyso. So, it can catch anyone out. I was also going to say, I wondered if we did see some of the drivers. I remember Parry Anastakis last night. He just took two tyres, the outer tyres on the 144 entry last night. and that actually played well into his favour. It managed to get him up inside the top 10 towards the end of the race, so didn't lose too much pace, but did just take the 2 tyres to jump a bit of the queue. So we didn't see any of that yet, but maybe later in this first race we might see the drivers doing that.
Yeah, the 2 tyre option can work out kind of well sometimes, because you are going to be using those right tyres much more than the left tyres. So if there's a short gap between stops, if you're sort of feeling confident, you can sometimes make it work. So nobody taking that option tonight that I can see. Everybody in the lane taking 2 sets of tyres from what I can see. So nobody rolling the dice early yet, but if we see a caution a little bit later on in the evening, we might see somebody trying that strategy, because it didn't work out too poorly for Anastakis. He actually made quite a few positions out of it and didn't lose too much time early in the stint.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll keep an eye out for that. If we do have another caution at this stage, obviously everyone should be fueled to the end. What was the fuel window last night? 25 or so laps last night. That was mainly tyre driven. Sorry, yeah, tyre driven. So we should see everyone get to the end from here. So no necessity for a pit stop, but of course the drivers will take any advantage they can get where they can get it. So if there is another caution period, we'll look out for that one. So we see this massive 29 car field roll back past us down the back straight. The pace car will be in this time around. It's going to be Jason Martin, Josh Mickelmore, the Mitch Motorsport boys, to resume their deal at the front, and they are joined by teammate Hamish Gallagher. So there is going to be a little bit of a Mitch Motorsport train at the front. The DPR guys not faring so well in the pit stops, but that means absolutely bugger all as far as they're concerned. So let's see how these Mitch Motorsport boys go under the restart. Very, very experienced at it, and don't write off Barry Neal by any stretch of the imagination either. So we're going to have some good racing here as we get ready to get back underway.
And
was Mitch? Oh, Jesus! I was going to say Jason Martin checks the field up there massively, and Barry Neal did well to hold that one up and almost end up with Jake Maloney as an ornament on the rear wing of the 22. And there goes Jason Martin, drops the hammer, and he's off and running. Good restart from him. Josh Mickelmore goes with him as well down the outside. Barry Neal got away reasonably well even with that that check-up, but you can see now we've got 3 Mitch Motorsport cars in a train. They're going to try and work together, but Martin won't let that get in the way of him closing down on that low line and getting into the lead. Gallagher's going to be left a little bit high and dry here. Maloney will push him up into the wall, and metaphorically speaking, of course, not actually push him up into the wall, but actually has suffered a little bit himself, so that's allowed the DPR entry of Philip Worley to make his way back up into 5th position. But aside of Barry Neal, it is a Mitch Motorsport train at the start of, or at the restart, I should say, of this first race.
Yeah, good restart from Jason Martin. Watch out for Jake Maloney here. He's going to be working his way up. Another good restart as well. Barry Neal in the Altura car. As we see somebody coming into pit lane, I think it might be a DPR car of Phil Otto. So may have got a penalty there for Phil. And I saw another car creeping into pit lane. Yeah, it was Matty Hunter. Matt Hunter.
Yeah, so Matty Hunter.
A couple of penalties there, I think. So unfortunate for them. That's not going to help out their evening too much. Luckily, if it's just a drive-through, they shouldn't lose a lap here because Pocono is very, very long indeed. Almost 4 kilometres, well, just over 4 kilometres in length, 2.5 miles. So a fairly long lap here. But Jason Martin is going to start pulling away a little bit. You can see Hamish Gallagher trying to make a move on Barry Neal at the moment. Barry Neal just going down to defend there, pushing Gallagher a little bit lower than he would have wanted to come into that line. He's just going to touch the little bit of, the little tiny bit of curbing there. Keeps the car nice and steady. Really nice job from Hamish Gallagher. That's going to cost him a little bit of speed. Give Philip Worley the opportunity now to make a move. As well as Jake Maloney, they're going to go 3 wide here, down into the first corner, and Maloney's going to make it, passing 2 cars there. Maloney gets into 4th place.
Good move there from Maloney. He was the cheese in the sandwich, and he got through there really, really easy. Ed Foster now looking to get a run as well on Philip Worley out of this one, so not quite able to do it. He equally is in the middle of a DPR triple in the train there, but gap opening up now as Worley goes with Hamish Gallagher in the 13. Gallagher's right up on the back of Jake Maloney too. Maloney the biggest benefactor of that last move, and he's got right up on the back of Barry Neal as well. Foster's not going to let the DPR boys run away here. He's jumped onto the back of it. He's gone with the lead pack this time and managed to break away from those behind him. Andrew Dyson, Neil Pearson, Raymond Yeager now in that second pack. There's a clear gap opening up. It's around about 3/4 of a second at the moment. And this lead pack is trying to make sure that gap stays and increases. You can see there Barry Neal getting down underneath Jake Maloney. A little bit of a squeeze there, but Maloney looks like he's going to get through, move up into third position. Neal there just wants to slot himself up into the high line, get back into the chain so he doesn't lose too much. Does so very well. Gallagher aware of it, lets him in, and behind that you've got Philip Worley under attack from Edward Foster. That's allowed this DPR group behind them to catch back up again onto this lead chain, so there's plenty going on. Phelps getting a move done down on the inside there. Oh, it just gets his nose cut off. Neil Pearson, if you don't mind, just comes down and says, "Woochka. No problems, mate. There's no room for you on this driving line," and that's going to cost him a bit of time as well. So he's just dropped back a little bit there. Nothing wrong with it. Good driving from both of them. So we've got 24 to go here in this first race.
And what that does, of course, what you see Ruben Phelps just dropping off a little bit of time is it just drops the aero off the front of the car. Of course, these Cup cars, they do have some aerodynamics to them. They do have some downforce to them. So when you have that aero just lifting off from you, all of a sudden, you just start dropping back quite quickly. The front just loses the grip. You start scrubbing up the track a little bit, and you have to lift off. So that is why we saw Ruben Phelps just drop right back there. But he's going to start catching back up again, and I am sure he will be wanting to pay Neil Pearson back for that one, just to give him a little bit of a, hey, you know, if you can do it to me, I can do it to you moment.
Absolutely, as we're on the nose here of Andrew Dyson, just looking at how he's getting his business done. He's down 5 places at the moment from his qualifying position. He's got a good run here on Foster in the Natari Autosports 53 entry, and he's going to get the job done down the inside and move up 1 position. He's looking to take his teammate of Neil Pearson with him underneath Foster. Foster getting caught a little bit there, so it gives Pearson the run. He won't be happy with that at all if we know Ed as we do, so he'll be looking to make sure that that doesn't stick. He's got a good run. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to hold him out though, and he does indeed, so managing to hold that out there. Going to be looking to fight back for that position as well, up over Andrew Dyson. Philip Worley in front of him still remains close at the front. Jason Martin now not having as much of it his way, with Josh Mickelmore closing back up onto the back of Martin. Maloney there just managing his race. And too surprised to see him make a challenge a little bit later on with about 10 laps to go here in this first one. He's the biggest mover in this top pack, up 11 positions so far. Justin Witcher is the biggest mover of the night so far. He's up 14 places, so he's having a good run from the back of the pack in the number 10, so and he's just about to make up another position as well over Raymond Yeager in the borrowed Taylor Swift livery there as well. A bit of damage to the back of Raymond's car is probably affecting him too.
Yeah, it's affecting him a little bit. What I was talking about before with Phelps and Pearson, it did have a little bit of a moment as Phelps got right up onto the back of Pearson and just gave him a little bit of a love tap on the back of that car mid-corner, just saying, look, I'm here, I'm ready to go. But Foster is on the move at the moment. He's just getting past Philip Worley now, as just in front of him, Hamish Gallagher just drops down. He saw Foster coming, went down, chopped Foster's nose off. You can see Foster's got a bit of speed, made sure to stop that charge from Foster pretty quickly. But he has Barry Neal in front of him as well, so Hamish Gallagher's now defending and using the offensive as well. That's just a little bit further back. Ruben Phelps tries once again to get the move on Barry Neal. This is going to help Justin Witcher out. He's catching up, as well as Dave Douglas. So these guys catching up to the back of this pack. Looks like possibly Andrew Dyson is struggling at the moment. He seems to be losing quite a lot of pace mid-corner. So something's going up for Andrew Dyson at the moment. Oh, he makes contact with Phelps. Manages to keep the car there. Somehow, Andrew Dyson just kept that car. That was very nearly a big crash. Dyson absolutely sideways Ruben Phelps going for the absolute dive bomb. That's dropped those guys off the pace completely. Everybody managed to save the car there, but that was almost a big accident.
Yeah, Dyson doing really well there. His experience showing in other cars. He probably would have done that once or twice in a V8 supercar, I imagine, but he did really well there to catch the 041, because, of course, the complication is if he had been taken out there, he'd be starting the next race from the rear of the field. Doesn't want to do that. 10th position's much better than starting from 29th, and he'll be happy that he's got away with that one with almost no damage whatsoever to that 41. In fact, that 041 looks basically untouched. So lucky there for both drivers, and they battle on again. It has helped Dave Douglas, though. Douglas has gone past Phelps, and now he's up onto the back of Justin Witcher as well. In fact, my apologies, he is not. That is Stephen Williams in the 98, just in front of Douglas there. So again, Dyson, you can just see, he just struggles, as you say, with that turn in. Douglas goes right up on the back of him, and there's just nowhere to go because another DPR car just stuck down in the lower line there. Steve Williams helping out, but that's cost Williams some time. Douglas here should be able to cut the middle. Is he going to do it? He does, moves down. He'll get the move done here. Dyson just struggling a bit in the straight, off the corners, I should say, and that's really costing him some time. Phelps now is going to go with him. There's no other DPR car there to help him close the door, and Phelps is going to get good drive in the Crank Esports entry, and he'll make up that position as well. You'd expect here with Dyson struggling into the corners.
The guy that helped out most was Justin Witcher. It's given him some breathing room. He's catching up to the back of Neil Pearson at the moment, who is catching up to the back of the rest of the front pack, which is led by Jason Martin, Josh Mickelmore, Jake Maloney, Barry Neal and Hamish Gallagher in the top 5. Foster sitting on the back of this group as well now with Worley and Pearson. So this battle pack is starting to form up, and they're just going to start getting closer and closer, and then just start thinking about how they're going to make the move as this race goes on, how they're going to make the attack as the race goes on, and where they're going to make the move to try and get the win of this race if they can do it.
Yeah, you're spot on. So 18 laps to go. They're going to be thinking here, all right, when do I go? And how am I going to get it done? Because it's not quite that simple. The top 3, Martin, Mickelmore and Maloney, grease lightning around here. So it's not going to be quite as simple as, all right, well, I'm off to take the lead of the race now. They're going to have to think about it and probably work together a little bit to try and get it done, particularly because the Mitch Motorsport boys won't just let people through. They'll work together to make sure they keep the lead of this race and try and make it 2 out of 3 ANZCAR wins for themselves and the team this week.
Yeah, they want to try and get sort of some good Grand Slams in their favour at the moment. As always, they like to get some good victories as a team, and they like everybody to do it. But right now, you see Josh Mickelmore making the move, and in synchronicity, Barry Neal making the move on Maloney. Maloney's going to get caught behind Jason Martin right here. That might cost him a little bit of speed. That might give Barry Neal the opportunity to make the move. Can't quite make it done. He slots up back behind Maloney. That's going to give Hamish Gallagher the chance. See, all 3 Mitch cars now dropping to the bottom. Martin has given the draft to Mickelmore. He's given the draft to Gallagher. Those 3 are going to try and get past, but what this has given is Jake Maloney the opportunity to get up into P2. He just held his line, kept up on that high line. He knows the high line is quicker at the moment on the exit. It's not the quickest way into the corner, but it's the quickest way out of it, and that's the important bit with these very long straights. Gives you a little bit of a better runoff, bit of better straight speed, and helps you out along this big long start-finish line. So Maloney is up into second. Next up, he has Jason Martin to battle up.
Yeah, Barry Neal just getting hung out to dry here. He's going to lose 2 or 3 positions, and he's lost a spot to Foster. DPR boys are going to get in on the action like a bunch of vultures trying to pick at a carcass. They're going to jump up into the high line, and again, Neal's going to be held out of that. I reckon he's going to lose another 2 places here, and it's going to drop him back into 8th position as it does. So he had to have a go at it, and unfortunately it's cost him there. The benefit of having teammates in the race, there's nothing against it in the rules whatsoever, and the Mitch Motorsport boys knew exactly what they were doing to try and protect that with the front 3. Of course, it didn't help Gallagher as much, with Maloney moving up a position on Josh Mickelmore too, but they're still there at the front. Jake Maloney, a solo pilot in a very much team affair with 16 laps to go at the moment.
Yeah, Maloney's going to be thinking about how he's going to get this move done, where he wants to make the attack. Martin, meanwhile, is going to be thinking, I'm just going to keep the high line pretty much defended, I think, and just make it as hard as possible for Maloney to make the move. The thing is, you might see Josh Micklemore try and make a bit of a nibble on Maloney's lead as well, to try and make him defend a little bit harder, to give Jason the chance to get a little bit of breathing room here as well. So that's the joy of having some teammates in the battle, is you can actually play it out like that, but you do need the pace to do it. And at the moment, it's let's say Jake Maloney has the pace to keep up in front of them at the moment. Micklemore and Gallagher are struggling just to get that little bit close to him. They need to just get about another 10th of a second closer to Maloney to make it work at the moment. So Maloney's doing a good job defending, but expect to see the Mitch boys probably drop out, try and go for a bit of a train, try and use the draft to their advantage, and see if they can make a bit of a dive on Maloney here to try and force him into a bit of a defensive position and hope that he loses a little bit of speed and drops back a couple of positions.
I think the biggest winner here could be Foster, of course, as well, because what they'll try and do is to get 2 cars below Maloney and try and hold him up into the higher line potentially, to take that position away from him. And Foster could be the big gainer here. He can hold that line and try and run with him. I think he'll be thinking, can I work with Maloney potentially if I get up into that sort of vicinity? But there's a little bit to play out here. Still 14 to go. Oh, it's going to be 13 this time around. And of course, Martin with such experience. He's one of the grandfathers. I don't mean that to be insulting. He's one of the founding fathers, shall we say, of the ANZCAR series. So he knows what to do. He's been in this position before, and it's going to be a fantastic finish to this first race. It's pretty settled down the back of the race. So we're going to stick with this lead pack here, pretty much right to the end, unless there's anything of note. So let's stick this one out and see how it finishes up.
Yeah, keeping an eye on the rest of the pack, but nothing much going on. A few passes positioned here and there. Nigel Patton just moving forwards on Joshua Carroll-Walden down in 17th at the moment, but not really a huge amount going on down there. So keeping with the leaders, I think this is going to be where the big battle is going to happen. But of course, if anything does happen a little bit further down the field, we will let you know and be straight on that one, of course. But Jason Martin doing a great job in the lead at the moment, but Maloney is starting to probe a little bit. You can see him getting low here, just starting to push the attack on Martin. He's just starting to probe where Jason Martin's weaknesses are and start to sort of get in his mirrors, try and get into Jason Martin's mind and try and throw him off a little bit.
As we ride on board here with Jake Maloney, and you're quite right, he closed the gap up significantly there, and Josh Micklemore's behind him, similar gap, so he's going to be just trying to get a good run here, which it looks like he's got. We get right up on the back of that Mitch Motorsport entry of Jason Martin, and not quite enough yet, but he's certainly letting him know that he's there, and it's going to be about when, not if, he tries to make a move. Gallagher's got a little bit of a gap now over Foster as well, so things are starting to shuffle around as Micklemore gets right up on the back of him there. Maloney just looking, I think he's got the run. It's whether or not he can hold it. It looks like he's going to be able to get underneath. Is he going to take Gallagher with him? I think he probably will.
And you can see Jason Martin there just sliding down underneath there just to help his teammates get that little bit of a run. Going to see Jake Maloney getting a good run off the corner here. Josh Micklemore's going to have to defend a little bit now. Jason Martin coming up the track a little bit as well. Those two getting very close to each other. Martin and Maloney and Gallagher just making slight contact with each other, just nibbling away at each other. This is going to help Foster out, of course, as Gallagher just drops below the yellow line. That's going to cost him speed on the straight line. He's going to lose a place here. Will he lose another place to Foster? Foster's going to have the high line coming in. This is going to help Woolley and Pearson as well. You can see Foster side by side at the moment. He should get a little bit of a better drive off here if Jake Maloney sits up a little bit higher. This is going to help Foster, give him that little bit of a tow, give him that little bit of a draft, and get past Hamish Gallagher. Nice move from Foster. That little bit of damage to the front of Hamish Gallagher's car looks to be hurting him a little bit. The two GPR cars now of Worley and Pearson are going to start the attack as well, and that's taken one bullet away from Mitch Motorsport. You can see now Maloney is starting to put the attack on Josh Micklemore as we have 9 laps to go. Micklemore has got Maloney all over the back of him at the moment, and Foster's just sitting there going, I'm happy to take this position from you guys as well if you want to keep fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. So, said it before, this actually works out well for Maloney and Foster because they'll work together if they can to try and make a change here at the front. It's in both of their interests to do it. Mitch Motorsport want to defend. Gallagher wants to get back up involved. We've got the two DPR boys of Worley and Pearson right behind who say we want to be involved in this as well. There's still 10 laps to go, fellas. We're here. We know what we're doing. We've been driving this for a while. As you can see there, Worley just trying to get down under, or for Worley, I should say, apologies for that, Philip, down underneath to make a move. Not quite able to get it done yet there, but this pack here is very close. Oh, as it gets a little bit loose from Maloney. I think he might have either got a little too close to Micklemore in front, or perhaps a little touch from Foster. He's held onto it well. No damage to either cars as they keep getting around here. With 9 to go, Maloney back up on the back of Micklemore again. This is helping Jason Martin a little bit. Just widen the gap ever so slightly as Micklemore closes back up on the back of Martin. The pack concertinas once again, and now Foster's down underneath Maloney. Has he got the run out of the corner? Micklemore wants to get involved. He hasn't quite got the pace, but you can see there the DPR car of Philip Worley wanting to go with him as well.
Yeah, it's all about getting your cards right at the moment. You can just see the draft coming into effect down the straight. You see all those cars just closing up on Jason Martin, who doesn't really have anyone to help him out down the straight. But when it gets to the corner, Martin's a little bit more settled coming into it. He doesn't have to lift off quite as much, so he can take a little bit more speed through the corner, and that's what's saving his bacon at the moment. But it just takes one slight mistake from Martin, one misshift, one slight moment of lapse of concentration, and he will drop from first down to fifth, possibly.
And you can see
once again. You can see once again that draft coming into effect there. The closing speed is just ridiculous, and this has given Maloney the opportunity to get down underneath him. Maloney getting down underneath just Micklemore right now. He's going to make the run. Will Foster go and join him? He's thinking about it, but Micklemore just closes the door on Foster. Can't let it happen. Hamish Gallagher, meanwhile, is going to get doubled by the DPR cars. Those guys working together to try and shuffle Hamish Gallagher out of position as well.
I was going to say, you could see them there basically bumper to bumper, one through position 4, and Maloney got the job done. What I was also going to say, Carl, 7 laps to go here. Remember, this is going to be the starting order for our next race, so we're going to get another 40 laps of this, with potentially these guys getting into one another. As you just saw there, Neil Pearson run quite wide. He had to get out of it by the look of it, and we had Hamish Gallagher, even with that damage, get down underneath him. And they've dropped right off the back of the pack as Micklemore got a little bit loose by the look of it there. On his way into turn 2, he's got Foster behind him. Foster did the same thing.
Martin gets a little bit of a tank slapper. This is going to give Jake Maloney the opportunity to dart down the inside. As I said, it's just going to take one momentary lapse of concentration from Martin. There's contact between Foster and Worley. Foster getting caught sideways there by Worley. He manages to keep it going, but Foster's going to lose speed here. This is going to give the chance to Pearson and Gallagher. They're going to come flying past him at the moment. Meanwhile, Jake Maloney has taken the lead of the race. Jason Martin's fallen back into second with Josh Micklemore in third.
Yeah, absolutely. Carl, Edward will be furious in the helmet there. He's getting that little touch from Worley, who went a little bit deep under brakes and got into the back of the Bridgestone Select Natari Autosport entry. And that cost him a lot of pace, cost Philip Worley just as much. He's dropped it right down there and off the back of this lead pack. So now Foster has to battle with Pearson to see if he can get that position back with 6 laps to go. Maloney here will try and check out at the front, but he's going to have the 2 Mitch Motorsport entries, the 21 of Jason Martin, the 31 of Josh Micklemore, who've led this race the whole way through. Try and get back up underneath him where they can. It's going to be a fascinating finish here. Maloney just sucks down to the inside, break the draft a little bit there where he can. Obviously, he's out there as a solo sailor, and you've got Martin and Micklemore working together.
And watch out for the cars behind them. You're going to get Pearson, Foster, Gallagher and Wally working their way back up. They're going to get the effect of that draft coming back together with all 4 of those cars. They're going to need to work together a little bit to get back up towards the front of the field. But they still have time to do it. 4.5 laps to go. Martin's got a good run this time on Maloney. Can't quite make it work in the corner. Maloney just sitting that car perfectly for defence there, keeping it right in the middle of turn number 2. Which is what you want to do. Turn number 2 is not really a great passing zone. Your main option is going to be turn number 3. Maloney just losing a little bit of speed on the entry, but getting good run on the exit once more. Martin and Micklemore need to work this out to get Maloney on the slight lower line so they can get the higher line advantage this time round. You can see, again, Maloney trying to break the draft between those 2 cars. Martin and Micklemore now side by side racing with each other. This is going to give the cars behind that opportunity to close up, get that pack back together, and they'll soon close back up to Maloney if they can link themselves up and start getting that draft going.
You can see that there, Micklemore just going with him, following him to the bottom of the track, and the gap from those behind has gone from 6/10 down to 2/10 now as we head into turn 2, and they're now right on the back of the Mitch Motorsport boys. You got there Neil Pearson getting down the inside. Jason Martin's copped it here. He's going to drop a spot, maybe 2. And even the 13 damage as it is of Hamish Gallagher's got back up onto this pack. Ed Foster down on the inside now. He's going to get under Martin. He's going to lose a little bit out here because he's not got the draft unless Pearson does that. Ducks down on the inside to give him a hand. It's going to play right into the Mitch Motorsport boys' palms as they get back together, and Foster's the loser out of that one. So Foster goes down now. He's down back into 6th position, but they are back together. Gallagher's going to get hung out to dry here a little bit. Ed Foster's going to try and work with Pearson where he can to get a move back up underneath Hamish Gallagher as Micklemore again follows Maloney down to that inside line. Haven't seen that before, Carl. We'll have a look at that after the race and have a little bit of a chat about that. I'm not sure how effective that will be, being that far off the back of the car, but I'm sure we can find out and get some opinions. But it's not over by any stretches. Gallagher gets a little bit loose there as well, as does Martin again. And you've got Neil Pearson trying to find a way past the Mitch Motorsport boys, working together brilliantly to make their cars as wide as they possibly can, affecting everyone behind them. I tell you what, if it was a parking lot, there'd be a rude letter left on the windscreen of the cars, but it's not. So they're doing a wonderful job.
You can see them just going all over the place down that front straight, trying to break the draft, trying to catch the draft. They're doing all they can. The draft is effective from around about a second. You can start getting that draft picking up, of course. So Josh Micklemore will still get a little bit of draft from Maloney jumping down there. That's why he's following him at the moment, just to get that little bit of a break in the air. Obviously, the closer you are, the better it is, but he still gets a little bit of an advantage from that because the air will be a little bit more, it will be a little bit less draggy for him, so he will get a little bit of pace advantage. At the moment though, Maloney's got around about 0.8 of a second lead as we're going to come around for the white flag lap. These guys really need to start working together to catch up to Maloney, because otherwise he's going to run away with this victory. Meanwhile, the battle is still going on behind him as Foster and Pearson just getting so close to each other. Worley there as well. Those 3 cars are battling it out very hard at the moment, but Worley is getting a good run at the moment on Foster. Pearson's got down on the inside. Foster's going to have the outside line here. Foster should have a little bit of a better run off the corner. But you're going to see the other DPR car try and go up around him, but Foster should get the run off the corner here. Very, very close there. Just a cigarette paper between Neil Pearson and Edward Foster. But Foster hangs onto it for now. He's going to want to try and keep that high line to make this one work, as Jake Maloney comes through turn 2 for the last time for this first race. Josh Micklemore is trying to close up time, but there's still half a second between them. The battle is going to be between the DPR cars, I think, for this final spot. We might get a very good draft out the corner, but it looks like Maloney is going to take this one as he comes up to the line for the last time. Micklemore trying to get that draft working, but can't quite do it. Maloney crosses the line in first place. Micklemore second. Gallagher in third. Jason Martin fourth. Foster in fifth. 6th for Neil Pearson. Worley was in P7, Barry Neal in P8, Dave Douglas P9, and Danny G in P10.
Wow. There's absolutely no doubt why this is the top tier of Australian oval track racing. That was, I have no idea how many laps that was, to be brutally honest. I think we were calling this battle up the front here for probably the last 23 laps, and it was nose to tail the whole way around. Great driving from all of the drivers inside that top 7 battle that we saw. It was nice and close. Barry Neal gets a notable mention as well. He was well and truly involved in that for a majority of that race as well. And then we just have what a great finish there between the teams, the drivers in Mitch Motorsport and Mickelmore, Gallagher and Martin doing a ripping job just to try and work together to get back up and give Jake Maloney some reason to drop the pace. At the end of the day, taking nothing away from Jake Maloney, a small mistake, and that's all it takes is a small mistake from Jason Martin, meant that he dropped that position, and Jake Maloney ran away with the win from there. So what a cracking drive from all of those guys. Pearson and Worley in the DPR entries, battling with Foster hard. They got back up onto the lead pack as well. Just not a lot they could give to get past Jake Maloney. So a cracking race from all those drivers.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant job there. That was some fantastic battling, and not to mention the battles that was going on down the pack as well. There was such a tight finish from P15 to P20. There was barely anything between those guys. Unfortunately, we're too busy covering the front of the fight to see that race, but Nigel Patton, Raymond Yeager, Ruben Phelps, Lachlan Urquio, and Josh Mickelmore with Parry Anastakis there. Those guys were nose to tail across the finish line. Absolutely brilliant racing there from all the drivers. That was one heck of a race, and we get to do it all again in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say and mention there, we've got that finishing order is the starting order. We've actually got the drivers. We'll quickly just drag them into the room here and say hello to them. Boys, no doubt after that, probably sweaty palms, sweaty just about everything else. What a cracking race. 24 laps straight of nose to tail battling between all of you. And Jake, Josh and Hamish, what a cracking finish we had.
Yeah, absolutely. That was, tough race there, a lot of fun. It was quite a bit of a chess game, that one, with the way the draft was. And I knew I was in a pretty tough spot racing 3 teammates lined up. I thought I was a big chance to get pushed back, and they did a good job of getting me back there with, I think, 5 or 10 laps to go. And yeah, it was just interesting the way the draft was here, a bit different than the way we've had it before.
Yeah, obviously probably a little different last night. You copped the same battle pack as well, running with Josh Mickelmore as well at the front in the Xfinity Series. Josh just not quite able to give it back to Maloney there. We saw an uncharacteristically small mistake from Jason Martin that allowed Jake to take off into the distance, and he didn't let it go.
Yeah, I think Jason wore off his tyres a bit, trying to keep ahead of me a bit. But Jake was quick, but we were quick, but it just wasn't meant to be this race. But we'll give it a crack the next one. We'll see what happens.
Well, we were saying just before as well, we can't believe that we've got another 40 laps of that. And the good news is obviously there was 7 drivers involved in that pack, with Barry Neal just falling away a little bit at the end there. And we get to do it all again with you all starting at the front of the field.
I believe so, yeah. So it should be good fun. Beautiful.
We will let you guys go to our finishing grid there. Jake Maloney, Josh Mickelmore and Hamish Gallagher taking out the first race here tonight. And gentlemen, hopefully we'll see you all back in the booth at the conclusion of the main feature race.
No worries.
Yep, thanks, Stuart.
Wow. So, Carl, I'm just going to catch my breath.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that was one heck of a race, and that definitely took it out of us. So we're just going to be swapping servers. So we might get the waiting screen up in a moment for that one. But yeah, it's going to be one heck of a second race with those guys up starting at the front. It's going to make things very, very different. Obviously, we saw that clicking off tyres was a really important thing in the race as well. So that's going to be a super important thing to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got that coming up. So what we're going to do here, unusual for us to have an intermission in the middle of an ANZCAR race, but we are going to do exactly that. So don't go too far away. The stream will stay live. We'll just put on our intro screen again. Carl and I are going to go and pop the asthma puffers and get ourselves back to stage one. As we gear up for a second race here, which will see Jake Maloney and Josh Mickelmore off the front row with Hamish Gallagher and Jason Martin off the second row. So Mitch Motorsport locking out the 2 through 4 positions. That's going to give Jake Maloney something to think about as we get into the restart for the second race. So don't go too far. The server will be up in around about 5 minutes or so. We're going to take a quick break here on FGM Ecast, and we'll be back with you live when we jump into that server in about 5 minutes or so. So don't go too far away. We'll be back shortly. All right, everyone, we are back live with you. Minute 38 to go in warm-up. It'll be a very short one for the drivers. Obviously, after such an event, 44 laps, or 40 laps even, just completed in the first race. And unfortunately, we believe that the qualifying positions from our very first race this evening will actually be the starting positions for our second race. Just a few server issues tonight that are unavoidable. But we'll just wait and see that that's confirmed. We'll bring up that starting order for you when we get through this practice. So we were supposed to have Double D Dave Douglas jump in with us in the booth here tonight. He hasn't quite made his way up here. Obviously he had to go and got caught maybe signing some autographs or doing that sort of thing that he needs to do with his adoring fans. So we've got no Dave Douglas for you, unfortunately. But I'm sure whatever he was going to tell us, he can tell us on another evening. He will be back out there hoping for a good run tonight. What I was going to ask, and you did mention it briefly, Carl, before we get into the qualifying grid, we've got about 20 seconds to go, just about that drafting gap being around a second before it starts to take effect.
Yeah, so sort of like most motorsports, you sort of have a certain area where it starts to kick in with heavier downforce vehicles, sort of like when you're looking at, say, Formula One, for instance, it's around about a second and a half to 2 seconds, up to 3 seconds, the gap where it can actually take effect down a straight. In the Cup Series, about a second is where that draft starts to fall off a little bit. So if you're within a second of the car in front of you, especially on a super speedway like Pocono, then you do get that effect of the draft still working for you. It's once you get to around about a second and a half past that margin, then you start to get more and more fresh air building up, and you get that sort of that air affecting the car a little bit more. There's a little bit more turbulence, and you lose a little bit of speed, so you don't get that sort of nice sort of distorted air to make things work things off for you.
Well, yeah, go for it, Cal.
So the starting grid is very familiar. If you saw race one, we'll just run through it again for you guys, just so you know. So on the front row is Wally and Martin. Second is Dyson Micklemore. Third is Jaeger Neal. Fourth is Foster Gallagher. Fifth, we have Danny G and Nigel Patton. Sixth is Urquio and Pearson. Seventh is Hardigan Maloney. Eighth, Traher Dortnack. Ninth, Griffiths Schultz. 10th is Otto Phelps. 11th, Robbie Williams. 12th for Douglas Raymond. 13th is Hunter and Witcher. 14th is JCW and Anastakis, and Paul Jackson is down there on his own in last position. So this is actually a bit of a godsend for a few of those drivers, I'd say. Not so much for those drivers that worked their way up through the field. So the drivers that got caught out in incidents, this is going to help them out a little bit for sure. But some of those drivers will be a little bit hurt about this one because they did work their way up through the field nicely.
Yeah, look, and to be honest, the only thing I'm disappointed about more than anything is that we're not going to get to start off with that big battle pack that we had at the conclusion of the last race. But be that as it may, what it does is returns Andrew Dyson, who we know is very, very capable, up to the front of the field. Gives Luke Traher a fresh start as well, because he did get a little bit of damage in that last race, along with Aiden Schultz too. So a couple of drivers there, as you say, getting a rebirth of sorts. And getting to see what they can do tonight. So it means that we've got that DPR sandwich up at the front. We've got Mitch Motorsports spread everywhere up at the front there as well. And Barry Neal and Edward Foster flying solo, looking to see what they can do. So it will certainly be another exciting 40 laps here for ANZCAR on FGME Cars. We're at Pocono for the second of our 40 lap races for tonight. A little bit different here as to what we normally get up to, just varying it up as we should do, and looking forward to another cracking run on this evening's race as we get set to get going. Pace car will peel in, and we're going to be led away by Philip Worley, Jason Martin here. DPR boys will be wanting to work together to get a good start. Dyson's race last time around was affected a little bit by some damage. He just dropped back, tyres went off on him, and he ended up finishing around about 10 positions down, I think around 13th on the last race. As that pace car peels in, everyone gets set to form up, and it's go, go, go. Philip Worley off and running, and Jason Martin's picked it like a dirty nose. He's gone right with him. And underneath him is Andrew Dyson, who's currently sitting in third. You've got Josh Micklemore behind him in fourth. Foster down the inside there, trying to get his way past Hamish Gallagher in the Tay-Tay entry. Don't be confused, as I just was, because it wasn't Tay-Tay Hamish Gallagher at all. In fact, it was Raymond Yeager.
But it was actually Hamish Gallagher and Raymond Yeager. So both potato cars there getting passed by Foster. So you got it right and you got it wrong at the same time, Stuart.
This is what happens when people run Taylor Swift liveries. I just get all starstruck and I don't know what to say. But good clean start here for everyone. Foster will be happy to get those couple of positions up as well. And he's got Gallagher right behind him here as well. Andrew Dyson with a good start. Micklemore just breaking away off the back there with Worley and Martin up the front. Worley was fast in the last race at the start as well, so he'll be happy for the reprieve. Still battling away in that top 7, but unfortunately not able to do much with it. As down on the inside there, you can see James Robbie ducking down to that wall just to maybe avoid or maybe getting a little bit of a touch and that pushing him down the inside. We saw that happen to Luke Trahere early on in the first race, as we've got, it was Lachlan Urquio down the back there with, I think that might have been Raymond Yeager, who he was fighting with. They were too wide going into the corner. I wonder if much of the line, in fact it was Jake Maloney, my apologies, I wonder if much of the line will change here, Carl. Now the track's worn in a little bit. You can see there's plenty of rubber built up on the outside of the circuit as well. So will that top line and entry still hold that pace that it held right the way through race 1?
Yeah, that's one of the big questions, of course. I think the track is set to 100% tyre rubbing now, so the lines will change a little bit, but you're going to get some of that little bit of marbling and things like that up towards the top of the line, some dirty lines appearing in that respect, but it will change the way the cars handle, it will change the way they feel, so it makes things a little bit different in the race and makes things a little bit trickier sometimes for the drivers as well. So expect to see a little bit of difference there. I think the temperature's gone down a little bit as well, so track temperature's dropped, track temperature's up, sorry, so track temperature is 42 degrees Celsius, so track temperature has gone up a little bit since last time. I think it was in the 37s for that first race, so a little bit of difference in track temperature and in the way the track is can change things an enormous amount for you, can change the way you're going to drive the cars as well, because all it takes is that little bit of change and these cars feel very, very different.
Absolutely, he's right on board the nose of Luke Trahere there. He was giving Jason Hardigan a little bit of a hard time as well. You can see down on the inside there, we've got Aidan Schultz and Ruben Phelps, teammates, just working together hopefully, as they should be just down there. Very early in the race to be pushing, but they are doing what they need to do here to make up some places as the whole field goes caning past the camera there on the wall. And we've looks like we're having a change for the lead at the front. In fact, we have indeed. It's Jason Martin. In fact, has he made a move on Worley? It looks like Worley's just having some connectivity issues, in fact.
Yeah, I think Worley is having a couple of blinking issues at the moment, so a little bit of a connectivity issue there for him. A big moment a little bit further down the pack for Mirko Dornak. He's gone into the back of Danny G. There was a bit of check up there, and Mirko got caught out in that one. Quite a bit of damage to the front of his car. That BMX is not looking as healthy as it was at the start of the race for Mirko Dornak. He's got Raymond Yeager down the inside of him, and he's currently working his way up. It's not affecting him too much, but it has hurt him quite a bit. Same for Danny G as well, so those guys will be just a little bit hurting for pace now. Damage is not something you want at the best of times, but when it's a very fast track like this, any damage can be absolutely critical.
Yeah, particularly on the nose there, as you spoke about, in terms of the downforce and corner entry speeds and things like that. So Mirko won't be too pleased about getting that damage this early on in the race. Of course, we only saw one caution during the last race, so every chance here we'll see none and go length to length without having to go through a caution period. So let's see what happens as we're on lap 6 already. Old 40.
Expect to see a caution now that the curse has been thrown. As soon as the commentator says that there won't be a caution, that means there will be one very shortly. So we'll see how quickly that comes.
There
and
it
here
is.
it comes.
Couldn't have called it any better if we tried. What? Was that Dave there? It was. Dave Douglas just doing the old... geez, what would you call that? Probably I don't know what to call it. Jump on board with Dave there. He didn't...
A thunder moment there for Dave Douglas. Just
absolutely.
closing his eyes and going through the smoke there. So just watching that one, it was JCW, I think, into the back of Justin Witcher, maybe. So that's where that one's come. So Witcher and JCW making contact with each other. And that one has...
Oh, God.
caused the caution that Stuart has caused. So well done, Stuart, for bringing out the caution there.
You should know me by now, Carl. We've been working together for long enough to know I don't mind getting a caution involved here or there where I can contribute. So that's what's happened there. And Dave Douglas doing a great job to avoid that as well. We'll go back and have a look at the actual incident itself from the outside. Let's have a look here. Jump on board. And just... camera's just changed angles on me there right at the wrong time, so you can see it off down in the distance there. If you look hard enough and squint, you'll probably see what was going on. But yeah, the camera angle there not doing me any favours. But you can see there the big damage to the front of the JCW FGME cast entry, if you don't mind. There's a lot of damage to the front of that one, and of course the 5 of Scott Griffiths with damage as well.
Yeah, so it looked like Justin Witcher just got loose mid-corner and ran up into JCW there in turn 1. So that was a big accident there, and that's 3 cars very much going to be struggling to finish this race now.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd figure those guys are going to probably just jump into pit lane and pull the key out the ignition on those cars.
So the drivers come into pit lane. Jason Martin trying to get a little bit closer. He jumps up into the high line there and just gets a little bit closer to Philip Worley there coming into pit lane and just tries to get a little bit of an advantage. Now, will we see chaos once again for the pit stops? We've seen it a few times at Pocono where it has been a little bit problematic. Will everybody get their pit stops working tonight? That's the big question.
So you got it right, Carl. You called it just about as or after everyone had already stopped, and that doesn't put the mocks on everyone. As we see them all start making their way out of pit lane now. Tell you what, Edward Foster, what's he done? Done something real special. He's jumped around about 8 positions there to get up into the lead of the race on the exit of pit lane. So he's stopped there 9.8 seconds. So no tyres, most certainly for Ed. He might have only taken 2. That's around about the time we saw last night for 2 tyres and a splash and dash. So maybe if you can just have a check back on that, Carl, as you see there, JCW. Sorry, my apologies. That was Hardigan there coming out of pit lane as well. Just trying to see if we've lost any of the drivers out of that one. I think we may well have between Griffith Switcher and JCW. What did you find out about the pit stop there, Carl? Just 2 for Ed?
So 2 for Ed Foster, for Ruben Phelps, Aidan Schultz, and for Paul Jackson. They just gambling on the 2 sets, the right side tyres, whereas everybody else has gone for all 4. So we have 4 cars out there on 2 sets of fresh tyres. So they're doing the Anastakis gamble, seeing if it pays off for them. It's going to pay off well for Foster because he's going to jump up a fair few positions, get in the lead of the race. Ruben Phelps as well, he's gained 14 positions. He's up into P6. Aidan Schultz up into P7. Paul Jackson for 16 positions up into 13th position. So those guys have really managed to gain quite a lot of track position with that stop. But will it affect them too much as the race goes on? Because they've got a long way to go. 32 laps remaining on those tyres now. Those inside tyres don't get worn quite as quickly. It's those outside tyres that get eaten up quite quickly, of course. But it's not going to help them come towards the latter stages of the race.
Yeah, he's going to be hoping that there's another caution. I don't think it's going to damage him too far here. I like the call, actually, from them. I think it's a good gamble. We're only 6 laps in before the caution came out, so not a bad time if you're going to roll with it. and they weren't leading, weren't having to push too hard at the start either. So we'll see how this plays out. Foster, of course, very, very experienced, kind of like Jason Martin right behind him. So he wouldn't have rolled the dice on this one if he didn't think there was going to be an advantage to get out of it. Gets him up to the front. He gets to control the restart and hopefully get a little bit of a margin. Maybe wish for another caution period a little later on in the race.
Yeah, that's it. It's a big gamble because they're going to have to run the rest of the race on those tyres. I mean, I'd expect to see more people take that risk a bit later on in the race, of course, when there's less laps to use. But yeah, an interesting choice. The other thing it does is it gives Foster the opportunity to save a set of tyres. Of course, they've only got 3 sets of tyres, so they effectively have tyres for 2 stops. So Foster will have a fresh set of inner tyres for himself, an extra set of fresh inner tyres, of course. But being that this track generally eats the right side rather than the left side, that's not going to help him too much. But it. You never know how things can go. Motorsport has given us some interesting things in the past. It can throw up some strange things in happening. So we'll see what happens there. But what this has done is given Foster track position up the front of the pack. He's going to lead away for the restart on lap number 9 here at Pocono for the ANZCAR Cup Series. It's Foster in the Atari Autosport car with Philip Woolley on the outside. Foster launches the car away, gets a good restart there. Got to be careful when you're on fresh tyres on the outside, older tyres on the inside, not to spin it up too much because the car can get a little bit wobbly at the first, just because you're on 2 separate tyre types. But Foster does get a good start there, leads away and has got the lead of this race.
Yeah, no surprises there from Foster. Experienced enough to know, dare I say, I won't say it actually, because he'll probably come and find me if I do. So we'll just keep on with this one. Good restart from everyone is a bit of a check-up. Yeah.
Contact there for Josh Micklemore and one of the crank cars. That was Ruben Phelps. Ruben Phelps getting into the back of Josh Micklemore there. Micklemore managing to hold it, but I think Ruben just got caught out a little bit with braking. He was expecting a little bit more grip in the corner. He, of course, only took right side tyres as well, so I think he might have got caught out a little bit on his stopping power there. But Micklemore just holding that car perfectly, keeping it in a great spot. What this does do is it helps Foster a tiny bit because of that checkup.
And once again, Dyson just getting mobbed here. Somebody unsuspecting in a flash mob in the middle of Tiananmen Square there. Look at him there, he's just dropping back. He's now down 10 positions again. And the pack that went past him there, Maloney, Schultz, Neal, Mercurio and Jaeger, just drove past him like he had a lot of damage, and he just hasn't got that damage. So not too sure what's going on there tonight for him. Just not able to quite get the grip out of that car that he wants. Maybe not quite set up the way that he likes. So disappointing for him, but we'll see. Plenty of laps to go here. We're on the back of this lead pack now. Foster's checked out a little bit at the front. He's got 3/10 over Philip Woolley, who's being harassed by Josh Micklemore in the Mitch Motorsport entry. Where are the rest of the Mitch boys? We've got Jason Martin down in 6th position, so a little bit out of team order there for them. They won't like that. They'll try and address that as quickly as they can. As you see down the inside there, Neil Pearson trying to do just that. Philip Woolley gets up into the high line, so Pearson and Woolley are going to join up. Josh Micklemore here is going to get a good run. He's probably going to be able to hold out Neil Pearson back down the straight. He does just that. Ed Foster's defending a little bit as well from Woolley. We've got a good run, but this is working out all right so far. Martin down the inside of Ruben Phelps. He's going to get that job done, you would say. There, the crank entry will get a good run as he does on the straight. So it's just spreading out a little bit now. This plays right into Foster's hands as it stands 12 laps through as we head towards lap 13.
Yeah, Cleo having a bit of a scary moment through turn number 2. He just went a bit wide. He had to ease off quite a bit there. And he's lost a good handful of positions, so he's dropped down a fair amount of positions there, just having to ease out. One thing I'd say what might be happening to Andrew Dyson is he's just struggling a little bit. Just that little bit of an experience showing. I mean, it's a strange thing to say for Andrew Dyson because we know how much experience he has on road racing circuits. We know how quick Andrew Dyson is, but he doesn't have the same experience on the oval tracks, and Pocono is a strange beast sometimes. obviously got the 1 lap pace, but I think in the longer run pace he's just struggling a tiny bit. Meanwhile, Josh Micklemore's managed to get his position back on Philip Worley at the front there. You can see Micklemore just starting to charge back to Foster. Ruben Phelps doing a good job on that other strategy with those slightly worn inside tyres, those fresh right tyres, working very well. But Jason Martin's going to make the move right here. You can see that purple car on the inside there. Not much you can see when you're driving these cars. Of course, you're relying on your spotter when you've got a car next to you saying car inside. That's the only way you can find out if somebody's there. But doing a good job there, side-by-side racing. You can see Martin trying his best to get past. This is giving Jake Maloney the opportunity to get the high line. Maloney's going to get the run off the corner now as we get a caution.
Yeah, Jason Hardigan and Mirko Dortnat looking like they were involved in that one down towards the back of the pack. So the question is here, what do they do? 14 laps in. Do they jump in and grab that last set of tyres available to them? Do they stay out? It's a very short run for a new set of tyres. I reckon we'll see the majority of them stay out, if not all of them, because it's too early to take that gamble on your last set of tyres.
Yeah, it's I mean, you might see a few people try it because we did see a long green period, so it might be worth it. They've only done 7 laps on these tyres, of course, so you might see a couple of people gamble it. Just with that crash there, you can see a bit of a weird one, in all honesty. It looks like Jason Hardigan in the 51 just didn't realise Mirko was that close, and he's just come down and just gone into the side of Mirko, and that's caught Parry Anastakis unaware as well. Parry Anastakis going into the back there, catching the rear of Mirko Dornak. Big impact for that car.
Yeah, so the 51 race magazine entry, or just race entry, I should say, just they're out of the race, you would assume. And Mirko Dortnak not having the best nights of Mirko, but he'll duck off, no doubt, and have a watch of the rest of this race.
Yeah, if he's still got some chance to keep that car going, I imagine he'll keep it out there. Just to keep the points going, of course, because that's one of the other things. It's important to keep points in the championship. There are a few damaged cars out there still, like Scott Griffiths. You've got Justin Witcher out there still. So a few cars still out there. Joshua Carroll Walden as well. So there's a few damaged cars out there, missing a few. Well, a fair few panels on them, so they might, they're just going to try and hope that they get a few more cautions and they can sort of gain a couple of positions in this race because, of course, you still get points when you finish. It's an important thing to keep doing.
Absolutely. There's one thing that's for sure, if just reflecting back on Stephen Williams in the truck series, and he is proof of that, just a matter of accumulating. I was going to say Ed's doing a little bit of gamesmanship here. He's trying to duck down onto the inside there to tell people he's going down pit lane. Just pulls out at the last minute. I don't think Josh Micklemore was ever going to fall for that, nor Philip Worley or Neil Pearson behind, but I love the idea of it. Just trying to...
left it very late there. He was... So he was definitely seeing what people would do. Dave Douglas has come into pit lane, so he's going to roll the dice a little bit here and see how it goes. So Dave going to get a little bit of a top up of fuel, change those tyres and go out there. So he's going to have some fresh tyres. So we've got Mirko Dortnak, Scott Griffith, Dave Douglas, Joshua Carroll Walden, Parry Anastakis, Jason Hardigan and Justin Witcher coming in. All those other guys are coming in to repair damage. Dave Douglas is coming in for fresh tyres. So watch out for Dave here. He is going to be on tyres that are going to be about 8 or 9 laps fresher than the rest of the field. He's going to be right at the back of the grid. He was a bit far down anyway, so he didn't have much to lose, but he's rolling the dice right here. He's going to see how this one goes and see what happens with the rest of this race. So don't count out Dave Douglas from here. We might see him creeping his way back up the field with those fresher tyres.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't surprise me. This helps Foster out a little bit with this caution period just coming not too far out from the last one. So, of course, Micklemore will have to run with him. On the restart, a little bit of gamesmanship here as well as he's right up behind Edward Foster. Just not sure what's going to be achieved by that one, but I like the game he's playing. So they'll get there on the restart. It'll be Foster who will control the field. We'll go around one more time here at Pocono before we get back underway. And the DPR entries of Worley and Pearson, they'll be happy as well. It just closes the gap up. Gives them another opportunity to get some free passes on the restart. If they can jump at the same time as Foster, then they're going to be able to get away here and probably work together to try and keep the Mitch Motorsport entry up in that line. Not give them enough breathing room and try and get a better exit to get through as a team. Got the Crank Esports entry, Ruben Phelps, Jake Maloney in the 2 positions behind that. Then Jason Martin, Hamish Gallagher. We've got Aiden Schultz and Raymond Yeager in our top 10.
Yeah, what this does do for people like Foster, Phelps, and Schultz, as well as another car that stayed out that got fresh tyres. I think it was Paul Jackson. What this does do for them is it just helps them out a little bit because the inside tyres will just cool down a little bit, and everybody else's tyres will have equalised. So the tyres are not going to be so noticeably different right here. It's going to sort of reset everything for these guys. The one to watch out for on the restart is going to be Double D, Dave Douglas, in the 199 entry. He's going to have those fresh tyres. He's going to have that little bit more pace over the rest of the field. He's going to be able to use that low line to his advantage and use it for all it's worth. But he'll only get a few laps to do that because eventually his tyres will get worn out. And when that happens, it's going to slow him down a little bit. So he's got to be a little bit... He's got to ponder about this one. He's got to be careful with this one. But if he can work it out, this could be absolutely perfect for him.
All right, we're not going to have to wait too long to find out. Once we're out on the pace car, and it will be Ed Foster who's effectively waving the green flag when he sets off in that Bridgestone Select Natari Autosport entry. And he goes straight away, not too much wheel spin at all in that restart. As we just move back a little bit there to see how the rest of it's gone. You can see there the 233 of Philip Worley. He got a good start as well. Not quite as good, but Josh Micklemore there is going to go with him. He's going to get the line and the drive out of the corner here. And you'd expect him to retain second position out of this one. It is going to be Foster, Micklemore, Worley and Pearson. So Worley and Pearson there 2 by 2. As they come down, we're 4 wide down in the bleachers, but they're sorting that out down back there. But it is Micklemore and Foster who've broken away at the front a little bit here on the restart with Pearson and Worley right behind them. Maloney looks like he might be able to get a move done here on Ruben Phelps down on the inside line there as well. So a couple of changes for position on the restart, but everyone getting away relatively cleanly. Is worthwhile mentioning that Phelps up 15 positions. Just checking as well, Dave Douglas has already had a good credit from that restart. He's back up into 18th position already.
Yeah, Dave Douglas is on an absolute charge at the moment. He's just able to go slightly lower than everybody else, run that low line and keep the speed in the car, and that's going to help him out an awful lot on this restart. But he's just got to be careful not running those tyres out too quickly. Meanwhile, Micklemore's going to get a good run off the corner. Foster's going to ease the car up, cut him off a little bit here. Going to see Micklemore get the run underneath Foster now. He's going to get the draft there. He might get past Foster here. Foster should have a better run off the corner, but can't quite make it round side by side. Micklemore is going to take the lead of the race. Josh Micklemore in the Mitch Motorsport team takes the lead from Foster. Now Foster's going to have to defend a little bit from the cars behind him. There is an absolute mad pack behind them though, running 3 to 4 wide as they come into turn 3. They are 3 wide in turn 3. You can see there these guys got Danny G there with Aiden Schultz in the middle of that one, and Lachlan Uquia, and they go 4 wide there with Luke Traher. So 4 wide, there's a little bit of contact between Schultz and Danny G, and Dave Douglas is going to take it 5 wide there. Dave Douglas getting so close, he gets caught out a little bit by the side draft, manages to keep the car going. That would have been a scary moment for Dave Douglas, but he keeps the car in, importantly.
That is an E-Cars first 5 wide. We've never seen that course. The track able to handle it here, and luckily there wasn't a huge pile-up with Schultz getting a little bit loose and getting into one of the cars below him. I can't remember, just trying to keep on top of it all there, but luckily there that all panned out for them. And my goodness me, we could have had a massive wreck there, but great driving from everyone. 5 wide we had. Yes, 5. We'll get a photo of that one, I reckon, and put it up on the social media. network for FGM eCast after this race, so do make sure you follow us there where you can to get the after race stuff from us. But fortunately no more caution periods, and up at the front Edward Foster's had an incident because he's now dropped down into 6th position. He's just got caught out of line a little bit there, which has meant he lost the draft and he's had to battle away on his own devices. So it's now Pearson up into 2nd place behind Mickelmore. We've got Worley in 3rd with Maloney in 4th, Gallagher, and then Foster. As down the inside now, Andrew Dyson starts to try and make it work, and he's got into Foster. Well, I should say Foster's turned down, maybe didn't quite see him there. That's our next caution. And Martin there cops some damage. Foster trying to get down out of the racing line. We'll have to unwrap that one a little bit there. But Foster's copped some damage on the front of the Natari Autosport entry. He won't be happy.
No, that's a big moment for Foster. Not a huge amount of damage. But that's a big moment there for those two, and Jason Martin getting caught up in that one. He was the really unfortunate one. Person this is going to hurt, it's probably going to be Dave Douglas, as he's got those fresh tyres on and hasn't really got any others to change. We're going to see the rest of the field coming in for those fresh tyres right now. But yeah, that was a big incident. Could have been a lot worse. Those cars haven't got too much damage to them, but that was a unfortunate incident there. But when you're racing that close, that kind of thing does happen.
Yeah, I guess the question is, we didn't quite get it far enough back there, so we'll just jump back a little bit further and have a look.
So it's just it's a very much a racing incident almost. Dyson just comes up a little bit and touches the back of Foster, just running a little bit too close there for Dyson, and just catches the side of Foster, and that just spins him around there. Foster almost gets spun back in the right direction, can't quite get the car saved in time, and goes up into Jason Martin there. So really close there. That was an unfortunate little incident, and good job from the rest of the cars behind. There was almost a mighty smash there. You can see those cars all just checking up, but everybody getting on the brakes quite well there and almost avoiding the incidents. Very close there. You can see from Raymond Yeager, from Yeager and Danny G.
Yeah, Danny G.
Those two got very close to making contact. So yeah, that was very close there.
Even Dave Douglas as well, just getting through there. So there were plenty that just managed to make their way through as everyone jumps into pit lane. Dave Douglas stays out on track with Joshua Carroll Walden and also with Mirko Dortnack. So those, or I should say Mirko Dortnack, those guys staying out on track. So they're now in the lead of this one.
Yeah, Dave Douglas doesn't have any more tyres to play with, unfortunately. He's used his allocation for tonight. So he was hoping that this one would remain green for the rest of the night. So he's on tyres that are a good 7 laps old now. It's not the end of his night. As we've seen, tyre degradation isn't super bad. But it's going to be interesting here. Did anyone decide to just take single tyres? I'm just having a bit of a look through. I think Nigel Patton might have been the only driver to decide to take one set of tyres. So I think that might be the only driver doing the rights only, and he's gained quite a few positions up with that one. So Nigel Patton getting up a few positions with that one. He's up into P11 at the moment, so he gained about 11 positions with that move. So that's going to help him out track position wise. So we'll see how this goes now.
Well, no one has gone and seen Robin, who's working in the infield care centre so far this evening. So she's had a very quiet night as a nurse. I thought maybe Luke Trehere might have ducked in there after ending up on his lid in race 1, but no go.
Luke getting very lucky to get bounced back onto his tyres there, so he managed to get back on the right side, so he didn't go full turtle. But yeah, that will have hurt him a fair bit, I imagine. But it's
just managed to make it out okay. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no concussion test required.
No, that's it. He didn't ping his G meter, obviously, so he's okay.
Tell you who is going to be heavily affected at this restart is Joshua Carroll-Walden there in the 35 FGME car Century. The front bar on that car is somewhere else tonight, and he's really going to struggle on the restart. You'd think he's going to get eaten up by Josh Mickelmore right behind him. Yeah, we'll see how that pans out for him.
Yeah, he's running the ultralight package of the NASCAR series at the moment, the no front spoiler. It does help reduce the temperature on the car and keeps those front tyres a little bit cooler as well, but not so good for the aerodynamics. Mirko Dornak as well, he's got a lot of damage on the front of that car. It looks like it's being chewed up by some kind of giant dog at the moment. So, not going to be an easy restart, and this could be the thing that helps Dave Douglas a little bit, because he's going to be able to pull away from those guys. Of course, you're not allowed to overtake the car in front of you until you get to the start-finish line. So this is going to help Dave Douglas out a little bit, having those two damaged cars beside him. He could be able to get a little bit of a leap here and get a little bit of a distance away before those cars on the fresh tyres can start to catch him up. So this might be a blessing in disguise for Dave. We'll see how that goes. His car is still very, very clean as well. He's not really got much damage on there, if any at all. So his only concern is the fact he's on some slightly older tyres. But we're going to find out very shortly, as the pace car will be coming in the next couple of moments. And Dave Douglas in the 199 car is going to lead us away. Dave Douglas gets a good jump. He runs away straight away, launches the car, and you can see he's going to get a nice bit of a lead here from the guys behind him, because they have to stay behind those damaged cars, which take a little bit longer to start up. Dave Douglas pulling away by about 3/4 of a second, so they're going to have to work their way around those damaged cars. At the moment, it looks like Wally might be the one doing the best. There's a big crash in the background. We've got a big accident, and that's going to bring out the caution again.
Wow, wow, wow. You could hear it there on the speaker. You could hear the sliding cars going around. And that is the end of the night for a number of our drivers. It looks like Urquio, Scott Griffiths, Hayden Schultz on screen. So they are off into the yonder. And we'll jump back in and have a look at that one right now.
Yeah, so there was a big checkup in front of them from those damaged cars, I think, and people just weren't expecting that pace to be as slow. So there was a huge checkup there. Basically, Luke Trahair got caught out the most. He slowed down. Then that's had Lachlan Urquio go into the back of him. Then I think it might have been Aiden Schultz into the back of Lockie. So there was a lot of cars getting caught up in that one, that big checkup, and then a lot of cars getting spun out.
Yeah, absolutely. The damage there, the bill quite big. You can see there, Mr. Sheen, 83. Matty Hunter just, my apologies, Matty Raymond just getting absolutely smashed. Jason Martin involved in that as well in the 21. So that's not ideal for his night. So there's going to be a couple of drivers jump into pit lane here, but dare say the 5, 42 and 52 are out of this race.
Yeah, that was a big accident, and that's going to take a lot of our main cars out of position, really. That's going to be a lot of fast cars getting caught up in that one. And yeah, really, that was just that was really just an accident waiting to happen, just with those slower cars up the front, unfortunately. I think people were just pushing a bit faster at the back. Obviously, you get a bit of a gap at the back, and then all of a sudden you get that concertina effect, and that big accident is only a matter of seconds away. Yeah, unfortunate there for a lot of drivers. Shame for those drivers that got caught up in it. The person this is going to help out the most is going to be Dave Douglas at the moment, and Philip Worley.
Yeah, absolutely. They've managed to get the job done there. I didn't see what happened to Josh Mickelmore, because we tried to jump back and see that action live, but Mickelmore there dropped back into 6th place, so he got caught behind the slower cars, and that meant he wasn't able to make his way through, obviously, up into that lead pack. So he's still going to have to deal with Joshua Carroll-Walden, Mirko Dornak at the front of this pack. Of course, himself and Hamish Gallagher are going to have to do that. Jake Maloney too, Ruben Phelps. So these guys are going to have to somehow manage to get this through. No one's going to jump into pit lane here. No one with extra tyres left. as Dave Douglas does the old chameleon in the car there, in just visiting the pace car at the front. But it does help him the most. He's on fresh tyres. Philip Worley's on fresh tyres. So Worley with a newer set by 7 laps. So he could run away with this one from here, Worley, depending on how long it takes the likes of Gallagher and Mickelmore to make their way past JCW and Mirko Dortnack.
Yeah, this is going to work out quite well for Worley, I would say, because he's going to be in front of, again, 2 cars that are going to be a fair bit slower. I expect to see Hamish Gallagher get a good start. They've just got to time that start perfectly well and just not get checked up too much. Obviously, Dave Douglas is going to want to try and run away a little bit, and Worley's going to have that nice open top line. And I think we're going to see Worley get the lead of the race here, in all honesty, and possibly get a little bit of a gap towards the end of the race. We've only got 13 laps. We only got 13 laps remaining now, so we're getting down to the last stages of the race. And I think drivers are going to be a little bit less patient as well, so we might see some incidents happen in that respect too.
So just grabbed Aidan Schultz up into the box. Aidan was just in visiting Robin in the infield care centre. We're about to go green racing there, Aidan. Just get you to hold on for a tick while we get this one underway. In fact, we're about half a lap out, mate. What happened there?
The way my night's gone, I'd rather not say too many words, to be honest. The quality of racing's been terrible. Race 1 on the outside, no room. But race 2, what happened this time? Fresh tyres, I believe Phil Otto got into the back of me and pushed me into Lockie U, which was unfortunate for Lockie. Yeah, I think less words is more right now. The quality of racing tonight's been a little bit less than presentful, but the guys that have kept circulating and the usual guys at the front have been great. So, yeah, I don't know. Not much to say, guys, to be honest. I don't know.
Well, there's one thing that's for sure, that it'll be dealt with. I'll have a look back through the race, no doubt, and if that's the case, mate, you know that those people will serve some time. That's how it rolls in the ANZCAR series, so bad luck for tonight. Obviously, after the podium last week, and yeah, we'll certainly see you back out here again next week.
Yeah, it's not about serving time either. It's more so the incident points and qualifying in and having to do that every week, which I love what they do in the series. And I think tonight with the 240 lap races, people tried to go a little bit hard too early, and I don't know what it was. I don't know, probably just one of those nights, and I'm crying spilt milk. But after a good week, good night the other night. But anyway, as we say, we live and we learn. We keep going, and these are all good guys. So we go again next time.
Absolutely. Aidan Schultz there out of the race, unfortunately, a little earlier on. He's got 12 laps left in this one. Dave Douglas gets a restart underway here, and he has flown off. He's out of the coupe and off down in the back as the rest of the field tries to deal with the slower cars here on the old tyres and the damaged vehicles, as we're 3 wide, 4 wide down the back straight here. You can see here, I think Hamish Gallagher is going to be the biggest benefactor down the inside there. He's down underneath Mirko Dortnack. Josh Mickelmore gets through as well. Great run from them as Jake Maloney gets checked up a little bit there as Mirko got a little loose. Ruben Phelps, my apologies, as well, up in front of Mirko Dortnack, who's just struggling, of course, with that damaged car that he's running there, the 62. And we've got him. There it is. There it is.
There is the big one. I think that was Mirko going up into the wall there. He went up into the wall, caught the wall, and then caught Neil Pearson just in front of him as well. We had a big accident between Maloney and... sorry, not big accident, but a little bit of touch between Maloney and Gallagher. But the big accident there is going to be between Neil Pearson there and Mirko Dortnack. That is a disaster for Pearson's race. That's not what he wanted to have happen.
No, absolutely not. And we have there an issue of obviously cautions breeding cautions. So we'll go back and have a quick look at that. Mirko just got a little loose there. There's no question about it with the damage on that car. So we're just on the wrong car there. We'll have we'll jump back again and have another look at this. So Mirko got loose there up in the wall, and I think obviously with the lack, oh my God, how lucky were those guys to get through? But with the
we need to watch that again from Philotto's perspective, I've got to say.
We certainly do, but I'll tell you what, the stewards will have a look at that afterwards. That's just not cricket, to be brutally honest. But Mirko just got loose there. No, obviously weight on the front of that car, and just up in the fence, he had nowhere to go. So not defending it, but yeah, unfortunately, there Neil Pearson, the innocent victim in that one. We'll jump on board there and have another look, and on Philotto's car, see what we can see from the replay on board with him.
Vic Philotto wants to buy a lotto ticket after that one. That was as close as you ever want it. So watch that. Just wow. Reactions of a cat there. That was just fantastic. And the fact that Phil saved it as well. He was going sideways for a moment. He kept that car going.
Let's just appreciate this. We'll go quarter pace. Just have a quick look at this. How has he done that? So from here, this is his vision on the nose. He's just pulled out, thought, what's going on here? You can see there, unfortunately, Pearson down into the wall. Pops back out onto the track, on his way through, no problems, and just decides to mosey on down to the inside of the track and make sure he gets his race continued for the night. Great driving from Philotto to miss out on that one in the DPR entry.
Yeah, that was such a big moment, and I should really stop listening to drivers as they talk sometimes because they are very annoying. But yeah, a big shame there. And that was a really shameful that restart because we were looking for a juicy one after that. So yeah, a big shame because the person that's going to help out though is Dave Douglas. This is really going to help Dave out for the fact he's got no tyres.
I was about to say, Double D here, the strategies of stroke of genius. He's jumped in earlier than everyone else, avoided both the cautions, had a cracking restart then as well, and he's going to lead this one in the closing stages of the race.
Yeah, it's just going to help him out more and more as this goes on for Dave. That early pit stop and that change of tyres could actually work out for him. We're talking about how this is going to affect him later in the race, but with this span of cautions he's been having, this could be exactly what Dave Douglas needs.
Yeah, well, from here we're going to finish out. We're going to have 8 laps to go. And I reckon, Phil Worley, obviously, and Mickelmore, very fast. They don't have those slower cars in front of them. Again, Ruben Phelps, you can't count him out. As they all pitted on lap 22 along with Jake Maloney. So the finish is on here. It's going to be a close one. Dave Douglas is going to have to get a good restart because Mickelmore's going to be fast, Worley's going to be fast, but these periods under caution have probably levelled things out a little bit as well. So a good finish to this second race here as we saw at the end of the first race.
Yeah, we're going to get a fun couple of lap sprint here. It's going to be, I think, an 8-lap sprint now. Hopefully we don't see that yellow appearing anymore tonight. We get a good, clean race to the end. We've lost a lot of cars, unfortunately. It's always a shame when we see cars dropping out. We don't like seeing that, of course, but it's going to be a fun sprint to the end here. You've got to say, it's going to look good for Worley. If Worley can get this start right, he could be looking good. Watch out for Ruben Phelps as well. Ruben Phelps up there sitting pretty at the moment. He could be one to watch out for. Ruben Phelps has been knocking on the door for a victory for a long time. This could be his opportunity. So let's see how that one goes. Don't discount Jake Maloney. We know how fast he is. We know how quick he can go.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, if I had 10 bobs to spend each way, I'd be putting 5 on Ruben Phelps as my outsider and 5 on Jake Maloney as well. So, but Worley and Mickelmore very much in the box seat here. Let's see how they go. Of course, Mickelmore's probably going to get the advantage because if he jumps at the right time, Dave Douglas obviously in control of the field. He's got his buddy behind him in Hamish Gallagher there in the 13 Mitch Motorsport entry as well. They'll be able to work together. Worley's a little bit of a lone ranger at the moment out there at the front with in the DPR entry, of course. So is Ruben Phelps. So don't discount that team affair there. The Mitch Motorsport boys working together to stay up with Dave and Dave Douglas at the front and potentially close this out. Dave Douglas wastes no time at all, drops the hammer straight away. And Josh Mickelmore just caught jogging on the spot a little bit there. Phil Worley's got a good run on the outside, but they are going to go side by side into turn 1 as Ruben Phelps moves down onto the inside line there to split the Mitch Motorsport boys. That's a good move from Phelps. That's good strategy from him. That's going to pay dividends as he's going to probably move up into third place here on the restart. He's going to go with Josh Mickelmore if he can. He's got Worley on his outside. Worley will get a better run out of the corner, and he does. He's also got the draft there, which is going to hang Ruben Phelps out to drive a little bit. Jake Maloney out on the outside there. So it's going to be Douglas, Mickelmore, Worley and Maloney as we go into turn 2 here. Douglas with a ripping restart, and we've got now Maloney down underneath Worley as well. That's not going to work for him. He'll pull back inside, not get that move done at this point in time, but Mickelmore got good pace here. He's closing back up on the back of Dave Douglas. But 8 to go. It'll be 7 shortly as we're about to close out this lap. And it is Dave Douglas who's going to lead this race. He ducks down onto the inside to try and break the draft. Josh Mickelmore spent the majority of the last race towards this part of it in doing the same thing, so he's well and truly used to that. Phil Worley goes with him. So does Jake Maloney. It's a breakaway pack here at the start, but Dave Douglas has got a good restart on those older tyres. Hamish Gallagher just dropping off the back a little bit on the back of Jake Maloney as we get back through here with 7 to go. And it is Mickelmore trying to close the gap on Douglas. He's in the draft well and truly. He's going to get the gap closed here, but not going to get far enough up. Dave Douglas will defend the position. He knows what he's doing. Worley doing a good job to keep Maloney behind him as well. That's allowed Gallagher back up onto the back of this pack as we separate then to Ruben Phelps, Barry Neal, James Robbie, and then further back Patton and Dyson. Oh, so it's a big slide.
Douglas manages to hold it, but that's going to cost him position. Josh Mickelmore's going to lose the spot to Philip Worley there, and this is going to give the opportunity to Jake Maloney. Jake Maloney getting a good run right now. Worley in front, Josh Mickelmore on the outside, and you can see Hamish Gallagher getting past. Ruben Phelps is looking racy again. Jake Maloney is going to be trying to get up there in the front, but Worley is the one that's going to get the payoff for that one. Worley has managed to get out in the lead, but Jake Maloney, we know he's quick. We know he's quick towards the end of the race. We've got 5 laps going here, and Maloney is all over the back of Worley, and you can see behind him, they're 3 wide at the moment with Mickelmore, Gallagher, and Ruben Phelps. Ruben Phelps is going to get that inside line. You can see on the outside as well, Barry Neal again up in the fight. Barry Neal trying to work his way back up there once more, getting back into the fight.
Oh, Douglas will be spewing. He was right there in the battle, and he got the touch, but my God, what a save. Dyson-esque in the save there. He almost had the car perpendicular to the wall and did a really good job to save that one. Avoid the caution, stay in this pack. Of course, we're disappointed he's not in the lead. He's right on the bumper there of James Robbie in front of him. And up the front, you can see there is Worley, Maloney and Mickelmore who are going to battle out at the front here. These guys in this pack need to think about it a little bit. They work together. They get back up onto the back of the lead pack here. There's still 5 laps to go. There's time. But if they don't do it, if they're going to fight between themselves, they're going to be fighting out for the minor places as Worley, Maloney and Mickelmore now. The battle is on. Mickelmore's got a good run here on the inside of Maloney. Maloney will get a better run out of the corner, but can Mickelmore get far enough in front? He can't this time around. There's a bit of damage on the back of the Maloney car as well, as Mickelmore there just drops off the pace a little bit. He'll gather that back up, and it is Worley from Maloney and Mickelmore. Another cracking finish to another 40-lap run here in the ANZCAR Cup Series at Pocono. These guys are doing a cracking job. Worley's checked out, half a second up at the front if you don't mind at the moment with 4 to go.
Yeah, Worley's got a nice bit of a lead there at the moment. The battle's still going on behind him. There is still battle packs forming. There is still so much going on in the race. It's just trying to keep a good idea on where to look at the moment. Big shout out to James Robbie. He's done a great job. 15 positions gained in this race so far. Ruben Phelps, 16 positions as well. So those guys really getting a lot of positions gained. But James Robbie seems to have a bit of speed in that car. He's catching onto the back of Barry Neal as well. So watch out for James Robbie a little bit later in this race. At the moment, Mickelmore's just dropped off a little bit from Maloney. Maloney's dropped off a little bit from Worley. So Worley has got a good position. Just needs to keep those tyres alive and keep the speed going towards the end of the race. You can see right there, Maloney just catching up to Worley through the mid-corner there. He's going to get some good run off the corner right now. He should be able to catch up to Worley coming down towards turn 1, but will he be able to make the move? Don't think so, but this is going to start to look juicy as we've got just over 2 laps, just over 2 laps to go. So it's getting pretty close here at the end, and you've got to say Maloney's looking very fast as it stands. So Maloney might be in with a good shot to take it out for the double tonight, but Worley's going to make it as hard as possible. And don't discount Josh Mickelmore, he's still quick.
Yeah, absolutely, as he closes up on the back here. the DPR entry of Philip Worley. Worley getting a good exit there, so just not quite able to get much done. We'll stick on board here with Maloney as he gets down on that inside. You can see that entry there just closing in speed on the back of Worley. Worley should get a better exit though with that turn in. He'll duck down to the inside here. He'll be trying to break the draft as best as he can as there's 2 laps to go in this race from Pocono. What a finish we're set up for here. Josh Mickelmore looking like he's got some pace as well. He'll know what to do with it when he gets there. So 2 laps to go here. The fighting at the front will help him. He'll get the draft. And if it is the sake of Worley holding out Maloney here, Mickelmore is in a good position to try and take advantage. In the background there, you can see it is Phelps, Neil Gallagher, Robbie and Douglas fighting for positions 4 through 8 at the moment. Mickelmore now right up on the back here as well of Maloney. So under pressure, no doubt about it, for the lead here. Worley's just checked out ever so slightly. He's got 2/10 on those behind him. But the closing speed there of Maloney into the corner. Worley will get a better drive out of turn 3 as we head around. And there is going to be 1 lap to go here for the ANZCAR Cup Series at Pocono. What a treat we've had tonight across these 2 races. And Maloney now, it could be subject to a move here from Mickelmore. Mickelmore will be trying to tee him up. Potentially just gets high in the line there. Hopefully gets the better drive out of the corner. Jumps back onto the back of the pack here as Worley defending, trying to make sure that Maloney doesn't get the draft. Ducks down onto the inside. Not able to break the draft there at all. Maloney well and truly up to that one. And he's gone with him. So we're into turn 2 here. We're running out of track rapidly as we're over halfway through the lap. And Worley gets wide, really wide. And he's going to drop a place here. That's going to get Maloney up into the ascendancy. You'd expect that Mickelmore's going to go with him. Worley there just trying to push Mickelmore wide. Is he going to be able to hold that position? You'd think that probably not. You'd think that Mickelmore's going to get the ascendancy. He is. And it is going to be Maloney from Mickelmore from Worley who are going to take out the race here at Pocono. What a finish there. A small mistake from Phil Worley ends up with him dropping out of the top position and ending up finishing 3rd as Jake Maloney gets the double in P1 and Josh Mickelmore joins him in P2. What a cracking finish again in the ANZCAR Cup Series from these drivers.
Heartbreak for Worley there. That was so close to taking out the first win for him in the ANZCAR series. Just a corner away pretty much, and just messing up the exit of turn 2. We talked about it a few times. Turn 2 is a treacherous corner. Jake Maloney got very lucky. If he was maybe about a millimetre or 2 closer to Worley, he would have gone into the back of him, and that would have been the end of his race as well. Josh Mickelmore just holding on there and just sneaking his way in there. He almost got there. If Maloney and Worley made contact, that would have been Mickelmore's race. Again, a strong finish for Josh Mickelmore tonight, getting that P2. He's had a good run tonight, but as is often the case for Mickelmore, more the bridesmaid than the bride. But another solid finish for him. That's going to help out championship standing wise, getting into the chase, of course. But another victory for Jake Maloney, the Pocono King, taking out the race in the Xfinity and the Cup. What a fantastic drive from Jake Maloney.
Yeah, and taking nothing away from Josh Mickelmore as well. Obviously, he finished P2 last night, and the thing that impresses me about this second race, of course, is he's out on his pat. No teammates around him to try and help with that battle, and he battled really hard. Good driving from him, and certainly no surprise that was the case as well from Josh Mickelmore. A fantastic run from him, and Jake Maloney. Look, to be honest, he's done the Bradbury almost in both races. A mistake in that first race from Jason Martin gave him the opportunity, which he grabbed, and just Philip Worley there on that last lap, just not quite able to tuck in far enough, and unfortunately clipping the wall and letting Maloney and Mickelmore duck through.
Yeah, that's it. And it's as we said, same with Jason Martin before. It just takes one mistake, one momentary lapse of concentration, and that's it. You can drop from 1st to 3rd to 4th instantly. It's so quick to happen. Let's go through the finishing order. So race winner Jake Maloney there, Josh Mickelmore in 2nd with Philip Worley in for 3rd position. 4th for Ruben Phelps, the biggest gainer of the night, I believe, with 16 positions gained. Hamish Gallagher in 5th position with James Robbie in 6th. Really strong finish for James Robbie, 15 positions gained in that one. Barry Neal 7th. Dave Douglas valiantly in 8th position on those relatively old tyres. also with 15 positions gained. Danny G in 9th with Stevie Williams in 10th position. Matt Hunter in 11th. Nigel Patton in 12th. 13th for Paul Jackson. Andrew Dyson finished in 14th. 15th was Maddie Raymond. Raymond Yeager in 16th position with Parianastakis 17th, 18th for JCW, Phil Otto 19th, 20th for Justin Witcher, Jason Martin, first of the non-finishers 21st, 22nd for Foster, 23rd for Urquio, Dortonac 24th, 25th for Traher, Pearson 26th, 27th for Schultz, Scott Griffiths 28th, and 29th was Jason Hartigan. But that end of that race, Stuart, was absolutely classic. You can't get much closer than that, and yeah, absolute heartbreak for Wally there, but great race again. Another top 3 finish for him. He's really been making a name for himself. Again, one of those drivers with a little bit less experience on the ovals, but doing another solid job and getting himself into the top 3 once more.
Yeah, absolutely. As we are joined by our top 3, just pulling him out of the green room there. I imagine it's relatively warm in that room with some frustrated drivers venting their frustrations, of course. But what a finish from you 3 gentlemen. Both races a treat. And we'll start with you, Phil. Commiserations combined with a little bit of congratulations. Obviously a top 3 finish there, but just clipping the wall at the end, and that just upset the race for you.
Yeah, I mean, the boys probably had a run on me anyway, so try to probably go through there too quick. And that's what happens, you know. You got to take the risk to win it, and it didn't pay off, but still made the podium, so that's good.
Yeah, really strong performance, of course, not taking anything away from that throughout the night. Good qualifying from you and a good strong run through the race. Did you find there just at the end struggling a little bit for tyres, or just that push?
No, it was nothing to do with tyres or anything. I simply knew that I had to maximise turn 2 because their last shot was getting a good run out of that. And then if you get on the outside with someone diving you at 3, it's all over. So I just went ham through there basically, and it just didn't pay off.
On the restart, we saw obviously a lot of congestion with a couple of the damaged cars staying out there. Obviously, Dave Douglas on new tyres, undamaged. That caused a little bit of a bank up in the pack.
Yeah, that was a little bit hairy, to be honest, because there was 2 at the front that had damage, and then there's a lot of us boys that didn't with fresh tyres. So that restart wasn't the best, but just glad we got through it, to be honest, with no damage.
Well, obviously, another strong DPR performance, as we always expect to see every week. A little bit of misfortune for a couple of the guys, but congratulations for coming in P3. As usual, just the shout out and love to your sponsors.
Firstly, I'd like to thank you boys for putting on the broadcast, and of course, ANZCAR for the awesome series. Daiso didn't make the podium this week, and he'll be a bit upset if I don't say full credit to the boys because they worked really hard this week. And I was really taking some notes from the data from what Neil was doing to work on my quali speed. And obviously simrigs.com, South Lifts and Hoist, Ben Max Mechanical, Bet Smart Racing Services, and MP Designs.
Yeah, absolutely. And a big shout out as well quickly to simrigs.com. There's only 6 days left in the end of financial year sale. So if you're after some sim gear, big supporters of the sport that we all love. So jump on their site and grab some gear if you're looking for it. So well done, Phil Worley, on 3rd position tonight in the feature race.
Thanks, boys. Just like to also give a shout out to Jake and Mitch there. They were quick tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of which, perfect segue into it. Josh Mickelmore back in the booth again tonight, mate. We said bridesmaid again, unfortunately for you, but a cracking run. And I was just saying before we got you into the room, a really impressive finish there. Nobody around. Normally we see, Mitch boys running together, but you fought out there, standing strong on the end by yourself, mate, and a really, really good run from you.
Yeah, managed to get in the top 3 again, which is good. Good points haul tonight. A few of the big guys are battling in the championship had really bad runs tonight, so that way it's sort of good for me. But real close racing with Jake. He was very quick all week at Pocono. Did a clean sweep, I believe now. So been good racing with Jake. But yeah, it was good fun racing tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We were wondering how you guys were going to go with that restart there, as you mentioned with Phil. But it sort of checked everyone up. You kind of had what we anticipated was the better line being behind Dave Douglas, but didn't quite work out with you. We didn't see what happened there with that big accident that happened out of the first restart there late in the race. You sort of dropped down to 6th position. What happened there?
On the restart, I started off as 6 behind JCW, Joshua Carroll-Weldon, and I didn't actually realise that he had no front end. I was sitting behind him, like, come on, man, what's this guy doing? And then we noticed when the caution came out, Hamish went up and had a look, and sure enough, he had no front end. I'm like, oh, okay, that's the reason why we sort of didn't go anywhere. But that second restart made sure we can get around him as soon as we get over that line and keep moving on.
Yeah, well, it certainly worked out for you there, and sorry, I just had a little bit of an issue there, but it certainly worked out for you there, so a good restart and 2 really, really strong second places for you tonight, as you say, good points haul with a couple of the other contenders at the top just falling away a little bit, so another good consolidation round for you, and no surprises for Mitch Motorsport as well, so as usual, mate, I probably should be able to recite them off by heart myself now, but not quite there yet, so just some love to your sponsors.
Yeah, just the boys, Hamish, Jason, Dan. We had a bit of a rough run, the other boys tonight, but I'm sure we'll keep one foot in front of the other and we'll move on to next week. And BK Designs, my team sponsor, and you guys for broadcasting at FGM Ecast. Yeah, and also Jay Maloney, Clean's Fleet this week. Bloody good job, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And a big shout out to Hamish, who I realised I didn't ask any questions of in that first race review as well. So big shout out to him for the 3rd place in that first one. And sorry, Hamish, it's probably a little bit of retribution for letting someone else use your livery tonight, mate, and making our job harder. But a good night overall for Mitch Motorsport in those 2 races. Congratulations, Josh.
Cheers, Stuart.
Jake, over to you, mate. As Josh said there, clean sweep tonight. You've got the Xfinity and the double into the Cup. A little bit of fortune at the end there, mate, but very, very strong running, taking nothing away from your driving throughout the events this week.
No, it's been great racing the last 2 nights, and yeah, it was unfortunate for Phil there. I think we all made the decision to send it in the tunnel turn, and I was on the limit as well. I was pretty close to hitting the wall about halfway through the turn. I thought he might be in a bit of trouble if I feel like I've sent it and he's gone in a bit harder, but it was bad luck for Phil. I didn't think I had any chance of beating him before that, to be honest, the way he was driving, so bad luck to him, and just great racing with Josh and all the Mitch guys and DPR guys, and just great racing when you can race so close and not have to worry about anyone getting spun out or that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of the things Carl and I talked about in the pre-race was how clean the Xfinity race was. Obviously, we had the caution periods and what have you, but particularly up at the front, we're treated to that in the at the end of the first race, as we spoke about in the last race, and here as well. I mean, to have 3 cars running that close together with no touching and things like that, just fantastic racing from all of the crew.
Yeah, completely. You always get that with these guys towards the front of this field, and I don't think I've really ever had any incidents with most of the people at the front. It's always great clean racing, so always good fun.
So obviously from here, Jake, just the shout out and love to your sponsors if you can, please.
Just a big thanks to you guys for the broadcast, and Edward and everyone at the series for putting it on.
You're more than welcome. I think tonight's probably been one of my favourite nights of racing, to be brutally honest. With the 2 40-lap races, we've had plenty to call. It's been absolutely fantastic, and obviously that comes down to you guys and the series organisers. So congratulations again to our top 3. Jake Maloney taking out the double here tonight. Josh Micklemore with a pair of second place as well, and Phil Worley taking out 3rd position in the feature race tonight. Fantastic effort from you 3 gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, boys.
Carl, I don't know about you, mate, but I reckon a bit low on the old oxygen count after that one. What a cracking finish yet again. Worley there, terribly unlucky at the end. All 3 drivers admitting they're pushing real hard at the end. They're fearful that they might lose places and have to do what they had to do to get up to the front, but a cracking race from those 3. If you can, a highlight for you?
Oh, look, I'll highlight that. That's the tricky one, but the 5 wide, I gotta say that was pretty special seeing that. Great driving from all those guys to actually make it 5 wide and not stack the cars up and crash, because boy, oh boy, that is really hard to do sometimes. So great driving from all of those boys to get it 5 wide down the front straight there. Just some really good racing out there. Unfortunately, we saw a couple of moments where it didn't go so well, and unfortunately, that is the case when you're racing that close to each other. Is accidents do happen, but yeah. Other than that, we saw some brilliant driving out there, and just such close racing. That battle at the front as well was something absolutely special.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just thinking back there in terms of the old double. Maloney now second person this season to do it. Of course, we did see Andrew Dyson do the treble earlier in the season as well. So a couple of drivers here racking up back-to-backs at their favourite tracks. Yeah, really strong drive from Jake Maloney. A little bit of fortune, but you got to be there to take those opportunities, and taking absolutely nothing away from his driving. He remember as well, he was supposed to start in pole position, started again in 14th position off the grid, and made his way up to the front of the pack. Notable entries as well: Ruben Phelps up 16 spots, and of course James Robbie up 15, Dave Douglas up 15. So with that mix up with the grid format for the second race, guys have done incredibly well to get up to the front again and battle away, and taking nothing away from Jake Maloney. All those drivers inside that sort of top 5 have done it all really well. It's just on screen there, you can see just that incident at the end of the race that cost Phil Worley. He's just clipped the wall there. That was it. That's all he needed to do after running a really good run, and that allowed Jake Maloney and Josh Mickelmore to run through with that loss of momentum.
Yeah, that's it. So close there, and just so very close. But close racing isn't going to stop here tonight. We have more coming up next week, of course, for FGM eCast. We're going to be back Monday night with the Truck Series Season 2. That's going to be coming from Kentucky Speedway, so that's going to be a very interesting race. And then we have another double header of the Xfinity for the Wednesday Night Thunder and the Cup, coming to you from one of Stuart's favourite tracks, of course, Road America. So we're going to be on the twisty stuff once again. So expect to see Worley up there in the times once more. We've seen those DPR cars very quick on the strip, on the road tracks. So we're going to see another thrilling race with them turning right and left. So it's going to be an interesting one from those 2 rounds.
Rubbing my hands together for that one, Carl. Can't wait to see that get onto the airwaves here. Of course, as well, Tuesday night, I'm not going to play this down at all. We have a massive restart for the Australian Pro-Am Sim Series, or AUSPASS as we have come to know it. And that rejoins the stream Tuesday night. Don't miss out for that one. We've got our first wildcard round starting on Tuesday night. There's going to be plenty of stuff posted across our social media on the remaining couple of days before we get that season underway. Lots of work gone into that one. Plenty of excitement around this series. We had qualifying happen yesterday where not only did the fastest lap time get improved, but we have a 1% tolerance for drivers qualifying in that Pro Series. So tight was the qualifying between 1st and 20th position in qualifying in that series. So there is going to be some absolutely fantastic racing coming up with that. That's back on Tuesday night from 7:45 on FGM eCast, so don't miss out on that one either. Carl, as always, thank you very much for your participation this week, shall we say. Always greatly appreciated.
Always a pleasure to be here, Stuart, and always a pleasure to call these races. Look forward to it most of my week.
And we will be back here for you on Monday night with the Truck Series. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, and we hope you enjoyed what we brought to you tonight. Of course, there is available on our social media channels plenty of other content for you too. So drop in there, hit a subscribe or a like. It does help us in our cause to produce these shows for you, and we greatly appreciate it. So if you can do that, we'd be very thankful. And from Carl Withy and I, Stuart Brown, we are out for another week here on FGM eCast, your E-Place for Pace. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.